My name is Delilah Carter. I have owned this little duplex long enough to know where the floors creak and where patients should. On a Tuesday that pretended to be kind, I came home from the pharmacy and found 2 suitcases by my living room chair. My daughter-in-law, Taryn, stood in the kitchen like she paid the light bill. "Pack a bag," she said. "My parents are moving in. It's temporary. Temporary is a cousin of free, shows up loud and stays long." "Where's my son?" I asked. "At work," she said. "We decided they need help. You can stay with your friend." "What's her name?" "The one with the loud dog." "I know my friend's name," I said. "I don't know your plan." I hung up my coat and set my keys in her dish. "The dish does not change allegiance." Her mother, Rhonda, came out of the hallway counting doorways like she'd just discovered math. "We'll take the bigger bedroom," she said. "We're light sleepers. You won't take a thing without paper," I said, calm. "Guests ask. Tenants sign. Family knocks." Rhonda smiled with her teeth only. "We're family." "Then you already know how the doorbell works." I poured tea because boiling water out trying sirens in this house. "Where are my spare keys?" I asked Taryn. "In the bowl," she said. "I keep 2 spares," I said. "The bowl holds 1. She didn't blink. "Guilt rarely rehearses details," I sipped. "You have until 6 p.m. to put the second key back and text me the date you copied it." I slid my phone across the counter. "Go ahead." Taryn stared at the phone like it might testify. "You're being unreasonable." "I'm being documented," I said. "Unreasonable is moving people into a home you don't own." I took a small notebook from the drawer, the one that lives under the sugar bowl, and wrote 3 lines. "Spare key audit missing. Unapproved occupants 2. Mailbox, check daily receipts and dates." Rhonda scoffed. "You're not putting us out." "I'm not," I said. "The leases," she blinked. "Lease? You live here." "I own here," I said. "My son and his wife rent this side on a month-to-month agreement. It comes with names." Silence put its hand on the room. At 5:40 p.m. Andre came home with a face that had already apologized to the wrong person. "Mom, it's just for a while. Taryn's parents are welcome when invited," I said. "Not as resident ghosts." Taryn folded her arms. "We're a family unit." "Then you'll appreciate uni rules," I said, and opened the binder I keep for people who confuse love with access. House rules on the first page. Lease addendum on the second. Guest policy on the third. Paper doesn't raise its voice. It raises a room. Andre rubbed his forehead. "What do you want us to do?" "Follow the paper," I said. "Return the key. Confirm the guest dates. Or choose a new place that fits for adults and a bad plan." Taryn lifted her chin. "We're staying." "Then I'm serving," I said. I walked to the office down the hall, printed 2 documents, and returned with the kind of calm a notary can smell. "Notice to cure or quit," I said, laying the page flat. "Unauthorized occupants, unauthorized key copy, misuse of common areas. You have 72 hours to cure. At our 73. You receive a 30-day notice to vacate." Those are numbers, not feelings. Andre's eyes watered the way a good man's do when the cost of peace finally looks like math. "Mom, please, I love you," I said. "I also love my roof, my blood pressure, and the word deed. I'm choosing all 4. Rhonda laughed like a plate breaking. "You wouldn't dare." "I don't dare," I said. "I file." That night I changed the mailbox key, placed a camera on the porch pointing at the doorbell, and texted Ms. Rivera, our home manager. The polite sentence that equals a siren. "Please note, unapproved occupants reported. Cure or quit served." "Follow up Friday 10 a.m. She replied with a thumbs up that looked like policy. In the morning, I found an envelope in the mailbox, no stamp, just handwriting that wanted to be brave. Inside, a copy of my spare key and a note. "Here. But we're not leaving." I photographed both and slid them into the binder under evidence. At noon, Rhonda cornered me near the laundry with a smile that had practice on mirrors. "We can make this easy," she said. "You let us stay. And I help with groceries." "You just tried to buy my house with carrots," I said. "Groceries are not rent." "Silence is not consent." She moved closer. "I know your son," she said. "He chooses peace. He'll choose us." I looked her in the eye the way you look at a storm you've met before. "Then he can choose a new address," I said. "But he will not choose my peace with your mouth." That evening, Andre came by alone. He sat at my table like it belonged to his childhood. "I messed up," he said. "I told Taryn she could bring them without asking you. I thought family was a coupon." "Family is a floor plan," I said. "It has rooms and doors." He nodded. "What do we do?" "You cure," I said. "Ask Ms. Rivera for the guest application. Give me dates. If they need longer, they sign a lease elsewhere. If not 72 hours. He swallowed. "She's going to be angry." "She can be," I said. "Anger's not a key on day 2. Someone jiggled my back doorknob at midnight and found out I invest in deadbolts that sing. On day 3, Ms. Rivera came for the walkthrough, clipboard, calm, and a pen that likes truth. She checked boxes. I made tea. Taryn and Rhonda discovered that HOA bylaws are bilingual in no, and not today. Are 73. I served the 30-day notice. Paper on the table, dates clear, signatures where they belong, Taryn hissed. You'll never see your granddaughter when we have one. Then I will not be seeing a child learn that threats unlock rooms, I said. Bring her to a house that uses doorbells. Andre exhaled like a man who finally met the price tag. We'll start looking, he said. Good, I answered. I'll keep the light on for visits. That night I wrote in my notebook, if you don't defend the hinge, the door learns lies. A spare key without consent is just a story with teeth. And in the morning, the first lease clause did exactly what it promised. Ms. Rivera showed up Friday at 10 a.m. with a clipboard, a pen that respects itself, and the calm of a woman who knows where the bylaws live. She walked my hall like a librarian in a noisy room. Good morning, she said to everyone, which is a gentle way to say behave. Tary and folded her arms at the kitchen island like it paid taxes. Rhonda leaned in the doorway counting square footage with her mouth. Andre stood between them and the window. Choosing air. Ms. Rivera checked the guest log taped to the fridge blank. She wrote the date in a line that wasn't a question. Mrs. Carter served a notice to cure. She said, tapping the paper. Unauthorized occupants and copy keys are violations of both the lease and HOA policy. You have until Sunday at noon to correct. After that, the 30-day notice runs on its own clock. We're family, Rhonda said, and on policy. Ms. Rivera said, smiling like a hem. She measured the spare key that had reappeared in my mailbox against the original marks didn't match. She took a photo of the new deadbolt on my side of the duplex and noted it as owner security upgrade. I poured tea. We let paper do the talking. When she left, Taryn tried a laugh that didn't like her throat. You're really going through with this? I'm really not arguing, I said. I file, I follow. I sleep. At noon I walk to the notary 3 blocks over. Mr. Salazar wears a tie like a promise and keeps stamps that sound like yes. He notarized my service affidavit, nothing dramatic, just ink that refuses to forget. He slid me 2 extra copies and a peppermint. Most people choose sirens, he said. You chose sentences. I have a kettle, I told him. You'd sing softer, back home. I placed a 30-day in a manila envelope with today's date on the flap. I set it on the mantle where the sun can read. Paper like slate, day 2, the doorbell pressed itself like it had opinions. Cheryl stood on the stoop. Purse first, smile second. Delilah. She said, sweet as store frosting. We're all getting used to each other. You could delay this. I could, I said. And then no one would learn anything important. She sighed like a stage cue and lowered her voice. My husband is retired. He needs a quiet place. We were counting on this. Quiet arrives after consent, I said. Not instead. She tried the money pocket. We'll help with utilities. You tried to buy the house with carrots yesterday, I said. Today you're offering electricity. Neither is the deed. Her smile broke into smaller pieces. You're cruel. I'm consistent, I said. Cruelty is a promise I never learned to keep. She left a casserole on the step with the kind of thunk that means diplomacy is tired. I slid it into the fridge between leftovers and no. That night, midnight practice outside my window. Someone jiggled the side gate. The camera blinked. The deadbolt hummed its low hymn, not tonight. I texted the clip to Andre with one line. Locks don't hold grudges. They hold doors. He replied, I'm sorry. I believed him 2 inches further. Sunday noon arrived with its own weather. Ms. Rivera returned with her clipboard and a man named Luis, who fixes problems people think are furniture. We did the walkthrough again. The guest room still held Rhonda's suitcase like a threat. Ms. Rivera clicked her pen. Cure not accomplished, she said gently. 30-day notice stands. She turned to Taryn. If you need help finding short-term housing for your parents, I'll email a list. But they can't stay here. Rhonda scoffed. You're not the police. No, Ms. Rivera said. I'm the paper. It lasts longer when they left. Taryn stared at me like a mirror she didn't want. Why are you doing this? Because you taught my son a bad lesson, I said. You told him love means access. I'm teaching him love means asking. She blinked. Her mouth tried to fight and then chose to be quiet in public. The week crawled and then ran. Andre took long lunches to look at apartments with light that didn't lie. Taryn came once alone. Eyes rimmed red. Apology parked just behind her teeth. I didn't think it through, she said. They lost their place. I panicked. Panic is a poor architect, I said. It builds without doors. I was afraid you'd say no, she whispered. Then you should have asked. I said. Better a clear no than a stolen yes. She nodded into her hands. I'll fix it. Fixing looks like dates, I said. When do your parents move out? She swallowed. By Friday. Good, I said. I'll bring biscuits to the goodbye. Friday? The hallway smelled like tape and humility. Rhonda rolled a suitcase to the door and glared at every surface like it had betrayed her. Cheryl lifted a box labeled books and opinions and looked sorry for herself. Where will you go? I asked. A month to month across town, Cheryl said. It's small. Small fits people who ask, I said. It expands for the polite. She pressed her lips into a line that tried to be a door but was only a string. We can still be family, she said. We can now start. I answered. They left at 5:07 p.m., which is a time paperwork likes because the sun is kind to cameras. I waved. I meant it. Inside, Andre stood with a face that had met the invoice. Mom, I'm sorry I let it get here. I'm sorry I didn't teach you sooner, I said. But I'm teaching now. He nodded. We found a place. 2 bedrooms. South Light. The landlord asked for 2 months up front. We can cover it. Good, I said. I'll buy you a doorbell plaque, ask first. He laughed through his nose. The way boys do when pride steps aside. Please do. We boxed the last of Rhonda's kitchen clutter and set it on the porch with a sticky note that read, Good luck. Generosity tastes better when it doesn't apologize, week 2. I walked to Mr. Salazar again with a plain envelope. Key return acknowledgement. Taryn and Andre signed dates, serial numbers, no speeches. Mr. Salazar stamped it into reality. On the way out he said, You keep bringing me the kind of paperwork that sleeps. I told him sleep was a hobby I had earned. Back home I placed a signed page behind the house rules tab. My museum of sentences that pay rent. Ask first, not today. Keys does not equal love. No decisions under a timer. The binder sighed like a satisfied book. That evening, Cheryl rang the bell at 6. Holding a paper bag and an apology that didn't need salt. Plain cornbread, she said. I'm learning to bring food and leave on time. Come in, I said. Stay 30 minutes. We ate standing up by the counter like sisters who don't trust chairs yet. She looked around the room she had tried to own and then tried to borrow. And her face softened into a shape that finally fit. You were right, she said. I was exact. I said. Right is for contests, she smiled. Exact, then. Thank you for not slamming the door. I prefer locks to slams, I said. They work while I sleep. She left at 6:29, waved at the plaque, and disappeared down the walk like a woman who had learned the direction of her own feet. On the last Saturday of the notice, I rode with Andre to his new place. He opened the door like a man who had practiced. The living room smelled like paint and possibility. Taryn stood by a stack of Today. Soon, peace envelopes they copied from our kitchen. She looked at me. Thank you for the lesson I didn't want, she said. I'll pay it forward before I pay it back. Do both, I said. On time, I pulled a small box from my bag and gave it to Andre. Inside, a brass doorbell plaque and a tiny frame for the first rule. He read aloud. Guests need calendars and manners, I added. He hung the plaque beside the door with the care of a man installing a future. The baby they don't have yet will grow up thinking doorbells are sacred. I will not correct her. We ate pizza on moving blankets and laughed the way people do when rooms stop lying. At the end, I stood in the doorway and gave the house its blessing. May your yes be warm and your no be kind. May your keys remember hands and your calendar remember love. May not today protect tomorrow until it learns to knock. Taryn wiped her eyes. Andre hugged me without bargaining. I went home with a spare slice and the quiet that comes after a storm that never raised its voice. Back at my table, I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl and gave the day its sentence. The D didn't roar. It cleared its throat and the room behaved. I slid the page into the stack. Set the deadbolt click. A man cracked the window so night could practice being gentle. And slept like a woman whose paper is in order and whose peace does not rent by the week. The notice ran its course like a clock that knows its job. On day 30, the hallway sounded like tape, zippers, and lessons. I don't do revenge. I do exact. So I did the move out the way peace likes it on paper. I set the table with for things, a walkthrough sheet, a photo log, a calculator, and a plate of biscuits. People tell the truth faster when butter is nearby. Cheryl arrived first with a box labeled linen and apologies. Rhonda followed, carrying a lamp that looked tired of hearing her talk. Andre came last, keys in his palm like a vow. We started in the guest room. I read the rules out loud, even though the walls already knew them. Scuffs are normal, I said. Cracks from anger are not. We'll sort by today, soon, and never again. Rhonda rolled her eyes. You and your little charts, and your little lamp, I said. We all have props, we move steady, not mean. Nail holes. Today spackle and paint. Loose hinge. Soon Luis will fix Tuesday. Copy key? Never again documented and done. At the kitchen sink, Ms. Rivera joined us with a clipboard and a pen that likes witnesses. Security deposit math, she said, and we all breathed like adults. She read the numbers. I showed the photos. Andre nodded through the ache. In the end, partial deduction for damage, receipt for paint. Not that the deadbolt sings and Rhonda huffed. You could let it go. I said. I'm letting everything go exactly where it belongs. She looked at the door like it had chosen sides. Doors don't choose. People do. When the last box left, the house did that quiet thing good rooms do, exhale and wait. I brewed tea. Andre didn't sit right away. I owe you more than money, he said. I owe you a better first thought. Start paying today, I said. Start with your mouth. He smiled like a man who finally likes his reflection. House rules go on our door first thing. Good, I said. And put a chair by the entry. People forget how to wait. He laughed. That's a sermon. I don't do sermons, I said. I do chairs. 2 days later, my phone rang with a number that had been practicing respect. Mrs. Carter. This is Mr. Phelps, landlord for the place Andre applied. Reference check, I said. Do they leave rooms better than they found them? They do now, I said. And they bring their own broom, he chuckled. That will do. I hung up and wrote one line in the notebook under the sugar bowl. A good name is rent you pay. With choices. Friday brought a knock that remembered the doorbell. Cheryl stood there with grocery bags and less makeup on her tone. I'm cooking for your kitchen, she said. With your permission, you have 30 minutes and for burners, I said. Come in, we chopped in rhythm. She set a roast like a peace flag. I set the timer like a referee. Between onions and the oven light, she said it plain. I let panic borrow my mouth, she whispered. It spent too much, next time, I said. Let paper borrow it instead, she nodded. I'm learning. At 6:28 she wiped the counter, kissed a baby photo on my fridge with her eyes, and left. The clock and I liked that. Saturday morning. Rhonda appeared on the porch with a plant and a look that wanted to be forgiven without saying why. I brought you this, she said. Truce has verbs, I said. Which one is yours? She swallowed. I will ask before I enter. I will leave when the clock does. I will stop using your son to open your doors. That one, I said and pointed. Frame that one, she handed me the plant like a lesson that finally grew roots. I set it by the window where mornings do their best work. Do I get a chair at Sunday dinner? She asked, small. Chairs are earned by arrival, not announcements, I said. Ask on Friday. We'll see, she nodded. It fit her better than Fury ever did. At Andre's new place, I helped hang the doorbell plaque ASK first straight as a truth. Taryn taped a small card inside the cabinet above the bowls. Guest sneak calendars not today still loves you keys does not equal love look at us, she said. Almost laughing. House with labels. Labels keep people honest, I said. And the flour out of the sugar. We ate pizza on unpacked boxes and passed the baby stroller brochure back and forth like a dream. We weren't rushing. Before I left, Taryn took a breath that turned into courage. I want to apologize without theater. Do it like a receipt, I said. Item, date? Fix, she nodded. Item, moving my parents in without asking. Date, last month. Fix, guest policy in writing, spare keys counted weekly. And my mother meets the doorbell before the sofa, accepted, I said. Put a copy on the fridge. Paper forgives faster than pride. Sunday, I cooked. Not to win, to feed. Chicken that minds its gravy. Greens that tell the truth. Cornbread that doesn't crumble under pressure. The bell rang 1, then 2, then 3. Andre first, carrying chairs. Taryn next, carrying dignity. Cheryl third, carrying a pie, and the clock in her pocket. She set it on the counter like a promise. Rhonda texted from the curb. May I come for 1 hour? I'll leave at 6, I replied. Yes, 6 means 6. We eat like folks who remember their mouths also pray. We tried small talk that didn't hide. We passed plates and ownership back to their proper shelves. At 5:58, Rhonda stood up on her own. No speeches, no sighs. Thank you, she said. See you next invitation. Good, I said. Text first, the door clicked. The room stayed tall. Andre washed dishes like repentance with bubbles. Taryn boxed leftovers with labels today, tomorrow, peace. Why peace? Cheryl asked. So you don't tear the house up looking for comfort that already exists, I said. She wrote it down on her palm. After they left, the quiet sat down in the Sunday chair. I opened the binder and slid in 3 fresh pages. Move out ledger photo log plus receipts. Dinner policy asked by Friday. And time posted spare key count first of every month. 9 a.m. Then I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl and gave the week its lines. Paper doesn't yell. It arrives. A chair by the door teaches waiting. Piece is seasoned. Serve it on time and in portions. I set the pen down, the deadbolt click. Amen and cracked the window so Night could breathe without asking. I slept like a woman whose house knows the difference between kind and easy, and chooses kind every time. Monday wore perfume and trouble. A courier slid a fat envelope under my door like guilt in a good suit. Demand to cease unlawful eviction, the header said, all caps trying to be a voice. It was signed by a community advocate who lists a P.O. box as a backbone. The letter wanted me to apologize, restore residency, and pay $2,800 in emotional damages, preferably by Friday before lunch. I put on the kettle, and my glasses, the two things that make me kind. I didn't panic. I paged, the binder open to notice secure. 30-day. Service affidavit. Key return, every page notarized, dated, clipped to a photo of a clock that always tells the truth. I laid the letter beside them like a loud child, seating him next to a librarian. Then I called Walter, a retired lawyer, my neighbor with a stare that irons shirts. To sentences, he said. We dispute. Proceed properly. He emailed a response on my behalf that sounded like a calm door closing. All actions were taken. Per lease and HOA policy. Any claims should be filed in the proper forum. We will respond with documentation. We printed it, signed it, and sent it certified. Paper doesn't shout. It arrived by noon. Cheryl called with worry, trying to sound like thunder. Rhonda found a friend who writes letters, she said. We didn't mean. You meant to skip the line, I said gently. Lines teach patience. Chords teach receipts. She's scared, Cheryl whispered. Fear is a poor liar, I said. If she files, she'll need my binder. We'll all learn something honest. Cheryl exhaled like a balloon, remembering math. What can I do? Cook dinner for your daughter, I said. And leave on time. Wednesday brought mediation, Monday a few days early. The advocate proposed a neutral meeting. I proposed language, venue, HOA office, glass walls. Good pens. Time limit, 60 minutes. Attendees, parties only. Goal, either settlement with receipts or a signed statement of positions for court. Asterisk, no recordings. No threats. No surprise guests. They agreed, surprise them. We sat at Ms. Rivers' round table like adults who had learned chairs. Rhonda arrived with a folder full of feelings. The advocate brought a pen that tried to be a sword. Andre came with his mouth humble and his shoulders squared. Taryn brought a legal pad and an apology that wanted a place to live. I poured tea into paper cups. Let's begin, the advocate started. Our client experienced housing instability and seeks relocation assistance. I slid the lease, guest policy, and photo log forward, dates highlighted. Ms. Rivera added the bylaws on top like a hymn book. Unapproved occupants, she said softly. Key copying. Cure period missed. 30 days served. Deposit handled per statute. We're done before we start. Rhonda flushed. We're family, and I'm paper, I said. It outlives family lies, the advocate tried again. Surely we can find compassion. Compassion isn't a check for bad behavior, I said. It's a chair at Sunday dinner when you ask. Silence, sat down. It behaved. I turned to Rhonda. If you want help, use verbs I can honor. She stared at the table until pride got too heavy to hold. I need a letter for our new landlord, she whispered. A reference that says we left without fire. You left with lessons, I said. I can say that, and the truth. You honored the final deadline. You returned the key. And the room exhaled. The advocate blinked. So, no money? No money, I said. But a letter you don't deserve yet, and a recipe you can't misuse. What recipe? He asked before he could stop himself. Ask first. Leave on time. I smiled. Serves everyone. We drafted to short statements right there. Reference, dates, condition. Key return, no balance owed. Mutual release, no further claims related to occupancy and deposit. Rhonda signed when she realized signatures are the only applause the truth needs. The advocate lost a little air and gained some dignity. We shook hands without liking each other. That's called civics. On the way out, Andre lingered in the hall. I keep thinking if I'd asked you first, none of this. Good, I said. Remember that thought. It's cheaper than rent, he nodded. We have another thought too. He looked at Taryn. She smiled the smile that takes practice. We're expecting. The hallway widened. The world found a better pitch. Then let me give you the only stroller advice I believe in, I said. Don't rush the wheels. Push what you can control. Naps, receipts, and the doorbell. Taryn laughed into her hands. We told the doctor our family policy, ask first. She said she wished more people brought binders to parenthood. Bring a time or two, I said. Babies and relatives respect clocks. A week later, Rhonda texted a photo of a small apartment with big honesty. We put your ask first by the door. I leave at 6. I am learning. I sent back a plan emoji and water weekly. Cheryl knocked at exactly 6 o'clock on Friday, with chicken and a clock in her purse. 30 minutes, she asked. 30, I said. She left at 6:29, proud of herself and correct. Ms. Rivera posted a new building notice, guest policy 1 page. I recognized half the sentences and all of the posture. Then the court envelope arrived thin this time. Not fat, case dismissed, mutual release filed. I made tea. I wrote in the notebook under the sugar bowl. Letterhead talks loud. The binder speaks English. If you must choose between mercy and memory, bring both signed and dated. I slid the page beneath the others, said the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice not being dramatic. I slept like a woman whose house has a policy for storms. Whose family carries calendars and whose piece doesn't answer to all caps asterisk. Spring put green edges on the sidewalks and purpose in our shoes. News traveled the nice way through a son who learned to start with nouns. Mom, Andre said. Grinning at the phone, we're having a girl. I put on the kettle and my better posture. Then let's give her a world where doorbells work. We started with the thing people ruin first, the baby shower. I told Taryn, pick your yes, where, when, how many, she chose, where, the building community room glass walls, easy exits. When, Saturday, 2 o'clock to 3:30 p.m. naps or laws. How many, 18 adults, no surprises. We wrote a one-page char plan and taped it to their fridge, our SVP by Wednesday. No or SVP equals not attending. Gifts, diapers, books, meals with reheating notes, no glitter. Food, potluck by sign up, bring serving spoon. Photos, ask the parents. No live streaming. Door, ask first and time equals end time. Cheryl read it, signed the bottom like a treaty, and asked, may I host within these rules? Yes, I said, and you'll need a wristwatch, she smiled. Bought one by Monday. Cousin Trey spun up a group text titled Surprise, with an address that wasn't in the community room and a time that ignored naps.tary and wrote not today. Andre added, use the flyer. We don't do secrets with babies or ovens. I replied with a photo of the plan, and the sentence that fixes most rooms. We already wrote it down. Trey sent a shrug. Then a thumbs up, then I'll bring ice, progress, and 3 emojis. The community manager asked for the deposit, a cleaning checklist, and a noise cap that sounded like manners. Cheryl printed the forms, used blue ink, and paid the fee with a receipt like an adult who loves someone. Look at you, I told her. Operating on paper. I keep my panic in my purse, she said. It gets no vote. Saturday came tidy and on time. Cheryl set the food table by the window. I put a small frame at the entrance, welcome. Ask before photos. Wash hands. 90 minutes. People arrived smelling like effort and supermarket flowers. Rhonda walked in 5 minutes early. Breath normal, eye steady. May I bring my friend Pat for 30 minutes? She asked in the doorway. Yes, Taryn said, looking at the clock. 2:30 to 3 o'clock. Thank you for asking. Pat came at 2:31 and left at 2:58. Hugging air like a respectful person, we opened gifts the way Peace likes, receipts taped to boxes. Books with dedications on the inside. Not the title page, libraries of the future say thank you. When someone reached for a phone to go live, Cheryl got there first, no broadcasting. She said with her new inside voice, pointing to the frame, if you love her, let her choose her timeline. The phone went back in a purse without a speech. The room stayed tall. At 3:28, I stood and stacked plates. Cheryl tapped her watch like a conductor. Guests hugged without lingering and promised practical things. One woman said, I'll take Tuesday laundry for a month. Cheryl wrote it in pen. That's the way to talk. At 3:35, the room was empty except for chairs to grandmothers. A cake that survived and a baby who kicked like a drum under a linen dress. We wiped counters in silence that felt like a blessing. You did it, I told Cheryl. We did it, she said, and actually meant the we. Sunday afternoon, we built the crib. People turned that into a marriage test. I turned it into instructions and a timer. Read every page, I said. No heroics. Andre laid out the hardware like beads. Taryn sorted the slats by letter. I read aloud with the authority of a woman who has beaten Allen wrenches before breakfast. At step 7, a screw tried lying. I held up the diagram, pointed to the letter, and handed Andre the longer bolt. Piece fits when the right piece does, I said. He laughed and didn't fight the metaphor. We finished at 62 minutes. With 4 spare screws in a labeled extras bag and a crib that didn't wobble even in theory. Taryn taped a small card inside the closet. Crib screws check. First of the month smoke alarm test. First of the month spare key count. First of the month. 9 a.m. Look at us, she said. Parenting with a calendar. Babies respect schedules more than opinions, I said. So do uncles. On Tuesday the doctor said words that turn kitchens quiet. Braxton Hicks or early labor we watch. The room took a breath. I pulled out the emergency plan we wrote in pencil and then inked. Bag by the door. Call chain. Andre gives Cheryl gives me meals. Visitor policy, ask next day. No drop-ins. Nurse code word, peaches. House closed down, lights, trash, dishwasher. Thermostat. At 3 a.m. Taryn's back argued with her. We moved like people who had practiced. Andre grabbed the bag and the binder page. Cheryl texted on it without adding her shoes to her problem. I set the thermostat. Lock the deadbolt. Click amen. And kissed Taryn's forehead the way women used to when the world remembered hush. A triage. The nurse Alicia, steady hands, asked for visitors. Taryn handed over the plan. Alicia taped it to the board and said, I wish all families brought one page and this much quiet. False alarm. Baby wanted the night shift but not the door yet. We went home and put the kettle where panic had been. You didn't say much. Taryn told me in the half-light. I did, I said. I said clock, door, water. She laughed into the pillow. I heard that. 2 days later, the credit union called. We received an application to add Delilah to your joint account. The voice sounded like a machine that learned to imitate helpful. Andre turned to me. Phone on speaker. We don't do that. We don't, I said. Please no. Any changes require in-person with IDs and notarized signatures. Put that on the profile. The rep typed the sound of a bouncer. Done, she said. Good policy. I hung up and wrote a card for the binder. Banking. No phone changes. In person only. Notarize big things. Apps. No autofill with mama's name. If urgent, gives show math or wait till morning. Apps will have you apologizing to a stranger in April. Binders will have you sleeping in March. Saturday. Rhonda texted at 4:55 p.m. May I drop soup? No visit. Yes, I replied. She set it down at 5:10, rang once, waved at the camera, and left. Soup was good. So was a clock. At 6 o'clock, Cheryl arrived with a timer and a pie that respected sugar. 30 minutes, she said. She kissed Taryn's cheek, wiped the counter, and left at 6:29 like a champion. Your mothers have become athletes. The baby will hear one day. They trained in leaving. The next morning, Ms. Rivera slid a notice under my door: maintenance entering Friday 9 to 11. At the bottom, in small print, if you're not home, please leave your temporary code. I wrote back one line, I'm home. No codes. I opened the door. Ask first. She drew a smiley face and a check mark. Buildings learn faster than families sometimes. When Luis arrived with his toolbox, he knocked, waited, and wiped his boots like a parable. He fixed a drip that had opinions and replaced a GFCI that had forgotten who it was. Sign here, he said, pointing to work complete. Thank you, I answered. For asking. We ended the week the way good weeks end: Sunday dinner with clocks and chairs. Andre carved the roast like a man who reads diagrams. Taryn set out labeled leftovers: today, tomorrow, peace. Rhonda texted at 4:45. May I come 5 to 6? Yes, Taryn replied. Rhonda came, held the timer herself, left at 6 o'clock, and didn't try to make the doorway a stage. After dishes, Andre leaned on the counter. I used to think leadership was being the loudest person in the room. And now? I asked. Now it's bringing the paper and keeping the time. That's architecture, I said. Babies sleep in it. Before bed, I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl and gave the week its lines. A shower without a schedule is a storm. Cribs don't wobble when you read the page. Hospitals love families who travel on one sheet of paper. If urgency can't show math, it can wait for the kettle. I slid the page into the stack fat now. Loyal Land set the deadbolt. Click, amen. I cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. And I slept like a woman whose yes wears a wristwatch, whose no holds a pen, and whose family has finally memorized the doorbell. Labor didn't knock, it texted. At 2:17 a.m., Taryn whispered from the doorway, it's time, like a secret she finally trusted. We didn't sprint. We followed the page. Andre grabbed the hospital bag and the one sheet we'd already taped to the inside. Visitor plan. Code word, photo policy, updates by text only. I set the thermostat, checked the deadbolt, click. Amen, and put the kettle on long enough to pour courage into a travel mug. The call chain worked like a hymn everybody knows. Andre gives, Cheryl gives me meals. No group chat, no sirens. Only verbs. At triage. Nurse Alicia, the kind of calm that fits in blue scrubs, read our paper like it was a recipe she trusted. She taped it to the whiteboard. Visitors tomorrow by appointment. Updates by text. Code word peaches. Parents yes, no is final, she said, marking each line with a little check the room could hear. Contractions argued. Monitors hummed, and the night settled into its work. At 3:04. The front desk called the room. There's a woman here who says she's grandma. May we let her in? Which one? Alicia asked. Grandma, the clerk repeated. That's a title, not a name. Alicia didn't blink. Asked the code word. A pause. The clerk returned. She doesn't have it. Then she has the parking lot. Alicia said kindly. Tell her the family will update by text. She hung up and looked at me. I nodded without flavor. 2 minutes later, Cheryl texted in the lot. Will not come up. Praying. Soup tomorrow. I wrote back. Thank you. Peaches holes. Growth wear sneakers now. At 3:19. A second attempt. A cousin says he's media savvy and can live stream the birth for family. Alicia smiled the way librarians do when someone jokes near the quiet sign. We don't stream people here, she said, and closed the loop. Policies are soft doors that still close. Labor did what oceans do, steadier, then rude, then holy. Andre lived at Taryn's shoulder, counting honest. I turned the lights down and the voices with them. When pain got loud, I handed Taryn a sentence we practiced. Breathe. I'm safe. The room knows what to do. The room believed her. Just before dawn, Taryn said. Through teeth and tomorrow. I'm scared. Me too, I said. Scared people make good readers. Read the next line. She did. The line became a push. The push became a cry. The cry stitched the heir to the future. A daughter arrived, furious and perfect. With hair that already had an opinion, Alicia placed her on Taryn's chest and turned down the world. Andre cried the way men do when relief finds the right key. I stood very still so Joy could measure the room. We didn't announce a name. Names deserve sunrise and paperwork. We just held a life and let her teach the clock how to soften. At 8 a.m. We sent the only message the day needed. She's here. Healthy mom resting. Visits tomorrow by schedule only. Cheryl replied, understood. 30 minutes. I'll ask first. Rhonda sent, can I drop flowers at the desk? No visit, yes, Taryn texted back. No scent. No balloon, she is fluent now. The hospital tried to love us with forms. One line asked to list grandmother as decision maker. I corrected it with a pen that has never lied. Parents only. Alicia nodded like good paper makes her shift shorter. A volunteer knocked at noon with a ring light and a smile. Free newborn photo. We can tag, private only, Taryn said, tapping the policy on the wall. Email us. No social. The ring light went to find a looser room. We made a 72-hour quiet rule and taped it to the end of the bassinet. No drop-ins. Hands washed. No face kissing. Photos by parents only. If you love her, bring food and leave on time. Alicia took a picture of it for herself. Not the baby. I wish more folks brought one page and this much quiet, she said. Quiet packs light. I told her. It travels. Homecoming needed choreography, not enthusiasm. I ran ahead to set the thermostat, tuck the receipts and label the fridge today, tomorrow, peace. At the door, I hung a little frame under the ASK first plaque, welcome. Wash hands. Visits, 20 minutes. No perfume, no streaming, no advice unless invited. If you hear not today, bring soup tomorrow. Cheryl arrived at 2:01, hands scrubbed, timer ready. Humility on. She set a pot on the stove and herself on 30 minutes. She held the baby like a prayer. She finally learned to whisper. When the timer chimed, she stood up without speeches. May I come tomorrow, same time? She asked at the door. Yes, Taryn said. Thank you for asking. Cheryl touched the plaque like a mezuzah and left. The room stayed tall. Out for 55. Rhonda texted. May I bring flowers to the porch and wave? Yes, 5:10, Taryn replied. Rhonda set them down at 5:11, waved at the camera, and left before the porch learned to be a stage. Proud of you, I texted her. She sent back a photo of a small index card taped to her own door. Ask first, leave on time. When people write it down, rooms remember. Night tried us out to 23 a.m. the way nights do. The baby met hunger with opinions. Taryn met it with a plan. Andre heated soup in silence and put his phone in the drawer labeled not tonight. I rocked in the chair. The street calls mind. Between fees. A phishing email slid into Andre's inbox pretending to be the pediatric clinic. Click to complete newborn enrollment. He looked at me over the burr cloth. We don't click, we print, I said. He printed the form the next morning in person while the receptionist smiled like she'd been spared. We added a card to the binder. Medical. Forms in person, IDs shown. No links from emails. If it's urgent, it'll already called by phone. If it's real, it can wait for daylight. Babies sleep better when lies can't find the Wi-Fi. On day 2, the doorbell tried to be creative. A neighbor's friend just stopping by to bless the baby. I opened the door only wide enough for the frame to show. Blessings travel by text today, I said. Meals by Thursday. She nodded, surprised by how kind no can be when it's on schedule later. Ms. Rivera slid a note under my door. Congrats. Maintenance filter change Friday 9 to 11. If you prefer, we'll come next week. I wrote back. Newborn policy. Thank you. Buildings can learn manners faster than relatives when someone teaches a mail slot. By day 3, the house found its new hum. We ate the meals that had labels and gently judged the ones that didn't. I started a little ledger on the fridge titled Spoiling the Spoilers, dishes washed, whoever visits. Laundry folded, whoever loves. Advice offered, receipt or silence. Cheryl picked dishes every time. Rhonda picked folding and got very good at corners. Advice went through a filter that looked like my raised eyebrow. At the end of the week, we sat the way families should inside the clock. Andre carved chicken. Taryn labeled containers. And I wrote a line for the frame beside the door. If you love her, don't hurry us. If you love us, don't film her. We toasted with water like decent people. The baby snored like small weather before bed. I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the gospel according to earned sentences, and gave the night its paragraph. Kettles beat sirens. Hospitals read one page if you bring it true. Code words are smaller than tears and work better. A newborn doesn't need crowds. She needs clocks. I slid the page into the stack. Fat, loyal, and bilingual in yes and no. Then I set the deadbolt click. A man cracked the window so Spring could learn our rules, and slept like a woman whose house has policies, whose family brings calendars, and whose doorbell finally means what it says. Week 2 with a newborn teaches clocks their manners. Visitors learned it, too, not with scolding with paper. By Monday I taped a small frame under ASK first blessing window to a clock to 2:30 p.m. Porch only, hands washed. No perfume. No advice unless invited photos, parents only. No posting. No Livis church ladies arrived with 3 casseroles and for opinions. I took the food and left the opinions on the step with a smile. Bring those back when they have receipts, I said. They laughed and the porch stayed holy. Wednesday was the first pediatric visit. Andre carried the car seat like it contained a treaty. Taryn carried her breath. At intake, the clerk slid a clipboard toward me. Grandmother can sign here. Parents only, I said, warm and square. I brought a pen in case your form forgot. She smiled and corrected the line. The nurse, Janelle, glanced at our one-page policy and nodded like she was off half an hour early. A man in the waiting room raised his phone to get a sweet clip. I stepped between his lens and my family with the kindest no I own. You're photographing people, not sunsets. Put it away. He did. Some rooms remember. We added a card to the binder that night. Clinic, parents sign. Grandparents support. No filming strangers. Updates, text after the appointment, not from the lobby. Asterisk if they love the baby, they'll love limits. Thursday at 7:12 p.m. Cousin Trey tagged the baby on every platform like the internet was a godparent. Close-up face. Full name, location, a caption drunk on excitement. We didn't explode. We emailed. Please remove our child's photo and name from public posts within the hour. We do private sharing only. Thank you for honoring our family policy. He called, ready to spar. Taryn answered with the voice she earned. Take it down, Trey. Keep your joy. Lose the post. He took it down and texted, sorry auntie. Didn't think first, I replied. Post never. Then we wrote what should have lived on our fridge already. Posting policy, family and friends. No faces, names, locations, or baby details publicly. Share privately with parents, yes. If you love us, keep us off your timeline. We printed 2 extra copies, one for Cheryl, one for Rhonda. Both said understood. I believed them an inch more. Colic visited Friday, uninvited and passionate. At 1:50 a.m., the downstairs neighbor slid a note under our door. Some of us work. I slid one back at dawn. Newborn in residence. We're doing clocks, not chaos. Quiet window, to 6 p.m. every day. Need earplugs or muffins? Circle 1, I taped a basket in the lobby. Earplugs, muffins. People circled muffins more than plugs. I baked both. Ms. Rivera posted newborn courtesy hours beside the elevator. We wrote the sentence. She leant at the wall. The building exhaled. The name deserved paper, not pixels. We chose to do it the old way. An announcement card on heavy stock. Mailed with stamps that smelled like intention. To grandmother's addressed envelopes at my table, ink steady, pride modest, Cheryl asked. Maybe say it first online after the cards arrive? You may say it last, I said. Let the mailbox have the honor. She smiled, new muscle showing. We can wait. We kept the gathering small, 8 chairs, clocks visible. A pound cake that respects knives. Rhonda arrived on time, set her timer, and handed me a bouquet of unscented lilies and Lord help me. An apology written like an invoice, item, moving in without asking date, last month amends. Guest policy learned. Timers used. Advice by request only paid, I said, initialed the corner and stuck it smiling under a magnet. We spoke the baby's name once, softly. Then wrote it on a card and slid it into a frame on the mantel. Camera stayed in pockets. Eyes to the recording. When the timer chimed, people stood, stacked plates, and left the room taller than they found it. 2 days later, a brand rep DM'd Taryn, offering free product for a newborn collab. She typed 3 lines that saved 1,000 future headaches. We don't feature our child. We don't do ads in our home. We're raising a person, not a page. Delete. Breathe. The baby had her first long afternoon nap. We had our first long adult conversation. Andre leaned on the counter. I used to think love meant showing everything, and now? I asked. It means showing up, quietly, with a clock, he said. And not showing what isn't mine. That's parenting, I said. And manners. Same book. We finished the week with 3 small bills. Door frame trio under ASK first. Welcome. Wash hands. 20 minutes. Fridge ledger. Meals and give label date and reheating notes. Dishes gives visitor job. Laundry gives grandma sprint. Phone card taped to the handset. No banking by link. No accounts changed by call. If it's real, it can wait till daylight. The house hummed. The baby breathed like small weather. Peace didn't strut. It kept time. Before bed, I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl and paid the weekend sentences. A name lives longer on paper than on a post. Hospitals are kinder when you bring one page and mean it. Neighbors forgive a night if you give them a window and muffins. If joy demands an audience, it's performing. Real joy knocks, washes, and leaves on time. I slid the page into the stack. Set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so spring could read our rules. Then I slept like a woman whose no is kind, whose yes wears a wristwatch, and whose family finally understands the doorbell is sacred and the binder never shouts. Week 3 teaches you what peace costs: sleep, sugar, and paper. The baby finally learned day from night barely, and the house breathed like a person who'd found the right pillow. That's when the state knocked, dressed as forms. A hospital clerk called. Quick confirmation for the birth certificate. We'll list a grandmother as emergency guardian if parents are unavailable. No, ma'am, I said. Kindness with elbows. Parents choose guardians. Grandmothers bring soup. She cleared her throat. Then, would you like to suggest names? I would like to spell mine correctly and keep it off that line. We hung up politely. I put on the kettle and opened the binder to a fresh tab. Guardianship. And papers. Parents choose temporary guardian who gets the baby tonight if needed. Parents choose long-term guardian who raises her if the world acts up. Both decisions written, notarized, and kept in the guardianship envelope by the door. Copies. Pediatrician, Ms. Rivera sealed note. Key released to _____ only. And one in the freezer labeled peace thieves don't read vegetables closing parenthesis .tary and read the lines. Like a woman who plans to live forever and knows better. Andre nodded like a man who won't gamble with lightning. Pick one, I said. Not four. One person answers the phone. Tonight, they chose Cheryl for the first night close by, good at calm. They chose Walter and Mrs. Rivera together as long-term to adults who love verbs and own a calendar. Wise choice. Guardianship is a job, not a pageant. We walked to Mr. Salazar, notary with peppermint diplomacy. He stamped the paper into reality. Babies sleep better when the adults sign, he said. Amen. Back home, I slid the papers into a big red envelope and wrote, Guardianship if the night knocks. We taped it to the inside of the coat closet door, where flashlights live and panic goes to die. That evening, Rhonda arrived on time with a timer and a look that had been practicing humility. She set down food with labels, washed hands without narration, and God is real asked, May I read the emergency plan? So I don't improvise wrong? Yes, Taryn said. Here's the page. Rhonda read, nodded, and tucked a copy in her purse without trying to rewrite it. Progress wears pockets. At 6:29, her timer sang. She stood, kissed the plaque, and left. I believed in calendar-based redemption a little more. 2 days later, the church office called. We'd love to announce the baby's full name on Sunday and invite the congregation to meet her up front. Invite us in May, I said. We're doing porch benedictions until flu season stops auditioning. Silence blinked. We can at least put her name in the bulletin? You can put a healthy new child and a thank you for prayers, I said. She gets a name when the mailbox says so. We are old-fashioned in all the modern ways. On Thursday, Cousin Trey reappeared with a Ring camera idea. Let's do a 24/7 live stream. For Nana fans, just the nursery. We don't stream people, I texted. Even our small ones. He replied with a GIF. I replied with a boundary. We both felt seen. We added a line to posting policy. No cameras in sleeping rooms. Baby monitors are for parents, not audiences. Friday brought insurance with a bad personality. A robot voice said to expedite newborn enrollment, please verify mother's maiden name and social. We don't verify by phone, I said. We enroll in person with IDs. Put that note on the account. The rep turned into a human and whispered, I wish my aunt would say that. We taped a bank insurance card by the phone. No changes by call. In person with ID plus notarize big things. If it can't wait for daylight, it's not for us. Saturday, we practiced the first stroller walk. Nothing dramatic, just for blocks in our manners. The sidewalk had opinions. A neighbor's dog rushed us, friendly, leash lazy. Its owner shouted joy instead of obedience. I stepped in front of the stroller with a pawn that means business. Leash short, please. Newborn here. He pulled the dog back, cheeks learning red. Sorry, ma'am. Thank you, I said. Good dogs love rules. Back home we added a stroller car that lives in the basket, cross at corners. Say no to strangers' hands. If crowd gathers gives not today. We circle home, sun hat. Extra diaper. One sentence to end conversations, she's resting. We're keeping it quiet. Peace travels better with rehearsed lines. Sunday night. Andre brought up something men usually crunch alone. What about money for her future? We can't save the world, but start a small seed and keep it boring, I said. Automatic monthly deposit you don't brag about. We feed today, soon, and a jar called peace. The baby gets later steady, not exciting, he smiled. I used to think love was grand gestures, and now? It's scheduled transfers. That's fatherhood with receipts, I said. We wrote a polite card for the fridge. Baby fund auto deposit. No withdrawals for toys. Gifts, books, diapers, meals, or a note for later. No debt for cuteness. Cute doesn't pay interest. Monday tried a workplace test. Andre's boss scheduled a quick check-in at 7:15 p.m. prime bedtime. Andre breathed, then answered with the sentence he had earned, I'm offline 6 to 8 for newborn bedtime. Happy to meet 8:30 a.m. or 1 p.m. tomorrow. The boss rescheduled without huffing. Respect travels fastest on calendars. Taryn framed the doorframe trio under ASK first welcome. Wash hands. 20 minutes and added a fourth in a smaller font whisper. She's an artist now. By midweek we built the quiet hour every day to 3 p.m. No calls. No visits, kettle only. We told the family once. The house told them every day. Even Rhonda learned to text after quiet. Before she put her shoes on feelings on Thursday, she surprised me by bringing forms instead of opinions. I'm filling out my advance directive, she said softly. May I list you as the person to call, if Cheryl can't? Yes, I said. Paper that lives in hospitals keeps people from fighting in hallways. We walked to Mr. Salazar again, my peppermint pastor of signatures. He stamped Rhonda's courage until it looked official. Paper forgives faster than pride. We ended the week with a small ceremony in my living room, nothing grand. Just a guardianship envelope and a kettle that knows hymns. We placed a copy of the baby's name card inside, alongside a photo of her family as it is and the sentence that keeps us honest. Keys are not love. Calendars are love with a handle. Andre read it out loud. Taryn kissed the baby's forehead. Cheryl wiped her eyes without making the room about them. Rhonda set the timer herself, then left at 6 o'clock. Proud and punctual. After everyone went home, I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the gospel of earned sentences, and gave the week its lines. Guardianship belongs to pens, not panic. If a clerk offers shortcuts, hand her a calendar. Dogs, doorbells, and babies behave better under rules. Future love is a boring auto deposit with a faithful name. I slid the page into the stack. Set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. Then I slept like a woman whose house has an envelope for storms, a timer for love, and a family that can finally hear the doorbell without arguing with it. Week for taught us and knew him. Quiet plus paperwork equals sleep. Then the mail tried to remix it. A white envelope arrived addressed to Infant Carter, which is a sentence I don't allow on my porch. Inside, congratulations. Activate your child's benefits online. Followed by a bright button that looked like temptation in a church hat. I put on the kettle and my glasses, the two tools that keep me kind. We don't activate babies. I said to the room. We protect them. I opened the binder to a clean tab and wrote the title the internet hates. Identity and records baby. No SSN by phone or email. No accounts open for minors' credit, savings, rewards without both parents in person. USPS informed delivery gives parents only. Freeze credit at the 3 bureaus once SSN arrives, minors freezes free. Lock medical. Clinic notes parents only on HIPAA. Vault. Birth certificate, SSN card. Immunizations copy to guardianship envelope. Andre read over my shoulder. I used to think safety was locks, he said, and now? I asked, it's locks and lists. Lists are locks on paper, I said. We registered informed delivery to their address before any joker could. And when the SSN card came, we didn't clap, we copied and hid. Then we wrote the only email the internet respects. We do not enroll by link. Remove our information from marketing lists. Confirm in writing. They wrote back with corporate sorrow. We printed it anyway. Paper doesn't forget. Meanwhile, the first holiday crept up with casserole energy and calendar crimes. Mother's Day. Capital letters with baggage. Cheryl texted first. Brunch. My church does a program. Rhonda followed. We could host at my place. No clocks. No clocks is how people spell chaos. We'll do porch blessings this year. I wrote back. 30 minutes each house, ours included. Babies don't brunch. Taryn exhaled like a woman spared a hat. Thank you, she whispered. I thought I had to choose a favorite mother. You chose motherhood, I said. That's enough for one Sunday. We made a holiday policy page in the binder. Length, 30 minutes per house. Travel time counted. Food, porch drop-offs only. Label, reheat notes. Photos, parents only. No posting. Gifts, books, diapers, or one later envelope. If anyone says just one more stop. Not today, is this? Allowed? Andre asked, half laughing. Allowed is what you schedule and repeat, I said. Traditions are just boundaries that grew up. The week tried us with a contractor door-to-door smile, clipboard and a gym shirt. Free roof inspection, he sang. New baby. You want a dry nursery. The nursery is already dry. The pitch was wet. We don't buy from the door, I said. Send your license and insurance, and we'll ask Luis for a reference. Clipboard deflated into manners. He backed down the steps like a man who'd met a list. We taped a vendor policy beside the phone, no door sales. License plus insurance on paper first. To references from Ms. Rivera's list. No work authorized without a written scope plus price if a contractor can't survive a list. Your drywall can't survive his ladder on Wednesday. Taryn's aunt texted, I booked a photographer to surprise you this weekend. He'll bring lights for the nursery. We don't do surprises. Taryn typed steady. We do schedules. No nursery photos. Meet us on the porch at 15, 20 minutes, natural light. The aunt tried an emoji that thinks it's permission. Taryn tried a sentence that is, yes to the porch. No to the rest. I could have hugged a policy. We set out a chair, a neutral blanket, and something almost like patience. Photos happened as if they respected oxygen. At 2:35 we were inside eating cold fruit and hot peas. Thursday night. Andre's job flexed the old muscle. Client call at 7:30. His boss pinged. He typed what growing men type, off 6 to 8 for bedtime. 8:30 a.m. works to dots. Then, understood. He looked at me. Every time I send that, my stomach waits for thunder. That's just history catching up, I said. Your calendar is a weather now. Friday, the building scheduled a fire drill at noon. The flyer said, evacuate with infants in arms. Strollers that time we practiced the route like a dance, bag by the door diapers, wipes. Copy of the policy, small water. Sling instead of stroller. Downstairs on the right, pause at second landing for breath. Me point. The big maple. Andre wore the sling like a man who learned more than one thing this year. Rhonda showed up on time for practice, held the door without opinions, and didn't try to make the sidewalk a stage. Look at us, she whispered. A family that drills. Safety's a rehearsal, I said. Emergencies respect choreography. Saturday morning. A letter with letterhead arrived from a newborn marketing program offering exclusive discounts. If we verify household members, name, date of birth, phone, email, and grandmother as alternate contact. I put the kettle between me and that sentence. We wrote back the only way that works. Please remove our information. We do not share household details. We do not list grandparents on any account. Confirm deletion in writing. They did. We printed it. The binder got heavier and my soul got lighter. Taryn taped a new mini frame under ASK first. We don't trade privacy for coupons. Amen. Mother's Day came like a cat quiet, then all at once. We ran the porch circuit like adults with watches. Cheryl's a 1 o'clock timer on the windowsill. Pie on the tongue. Rhonda's at 2 o'clock on scented flowers. Real hug, no stage, and ours at 3 o'clock to grandmother's as bookends. A baby learning to smile with her whole body. At 3:28. Cheryl stood and straightened her watch band. May I take one photo for my refrigerator? Yes, Taryn said. No internet. Cheryl took one, printed at CVS, and taped it to a fridge that finally knows it's calling. Rhonda handed me a card with the only sentence the day truly needed. Thank you for teaching us clocks. I put it under a magnet and underlined teaching. Monday delivered the SSN card by real mail. No confetti. Just files. We went to the credit union in person, IDs ready, tiny package asleep. We opened a later account with a transfer we could forget on purpose. What's the account nickname? The clerk asked. Andre looked at me. I looked at Taryn. We all looked at the baby. Calendar, I said. The clerk smiled like she wished she'd thought of it on the way out. A man in the lobby reached for the car seat blanket. Taryn stepped sideways small, exact. We don't touch babies we didn't bring. He froze, apologized, and learned a free lesson. The blanket kept its job. That evening we hung a small shadow box by the door inside. A tiny copy of the door frame trio, the guardianship line, and one brass key that had been returned. I added a slip of paper with a sentence that earns its place. Keys are not love. Schedules are love with memory. Andre read it out loud. Taryn kissed the baby's hair, and I set the kettle to an amen before bed. I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the little chapel of earned sentences, and paid the week in lines. Babies don't need coupons. They need locks with lists. Holidays behave when clocks lead the prayer. Vendors who fear paper shouldn't touch your roof or your soul. Fire drills are love rehearsed in stairwells. If privacy has a price, the seller is lying. I slid the page into the stack. Fat, loyal, and bilingual in yes and no. I set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. Then I slept like a woman whose mailbox no longer startles her, whose family can tell time without telling lies, and whose doorbell knows the difference between grandmothers and marketing. Week 5 taught us a new verse: paper doesn't panic even when the door tries to. It was 2:09 p.m., 5 minutes before quiet hour when the doorbell chose drama. A woman stood on the porch with a polite posture and a badge that looked like it had opinions. Good afternoon. I'm Miss Dalton with Child and Family Services. We received a concern. May I come in and talk? We didn't sprint. We followed the page. Of course, I said, calm as a kettle. First, may I see your ID and note your case number? She handed both over unbothered. Professionals like rules. I stepped inside, shut the door soft click, and called the main office number printed on the city website, not the card, put them on speaker, and confirmed Miss Dalton in the case. She watched me do it and nodded like she wished more houses used phones this way. Thank you, I said, hanging up. We're happy to talk on the porch or in the front room by the window. Baby's asleep. We protect sleep in this home. Front room is fine, she said, smiling at the word protect like it finally had good PR. I set the binder on the coffee table. It opened to pediatric visits, feeding and sleep log, visitor policy, and the small frame that lives under ASK first welcome. Wash hands. 20 minutes, whisper. What's the concern? I asked. A report of constant crying. Too many visitors, unsafe sleep, she read. We take all reports seriously, we do. Too, I said, sliding the sleep log forward times, feeds, diapers, safe sleep check like a polite metronome. Next, the clinic after visit summary stamped normal in a font that made sense. Then the visitor ledger, who, when, how long, the quieter card in the photo, posting policy. Paper form to choir and saying, may I see where the baby sleeps? She asked. In the front room, yes, I said. We don't bring cameras into bedrooms. She didn't flinch. We walked 3 steps and showed up a synop made by people who read instructions. No bumpers. No pillows. Just sense. She looked around without snooping. This is unusually organized, she said. We learned to write peace down, I said. It forgets less that way. From the hallway, Andre came forward, hands clean, tone steady. Would you like to see the pediatrician's number? He offered it without turning it into a stage. Miss Dalton jotted it. A small cry floated from the back like a violin remembering a note. Taryn appeared, rested but real, baby against her shoulder. May I hold her here? She asked the room, out of habit. Yes, Miss Dalton said softly. You may. We sat, no speeches, no performative tea, and let paper keep its job. Miss Dalton asked ordinary questions. We answered with sentences, not storms. Yes. We have quiet hour daily. Yes. Visitors are scheduled and brief. Yes. Sleep is safe and boring. No, we don't post the child. Yes. Our building has a courtesy notice posted by management. She smiled at boring. Good social workers love boring. Do you know who made the report? Andre asked. I can't share that, she said. Anonymous is allowed. But I appreciate that you confirmed identity and scope before inviting me in. That keeps everyone safe. It keeps sleep safe, I said. We're partial. We finish in 21 quiet minutes. Miss Dalton stood, closed her notebook, and looked at the binder like it might run for office. I'll be closing this. I was unfounded, she said. One suggestion, if you'll allow, add a 1-page agency visit protocol to your binder. Many families don't know they can verify and set a room. We'll write it now, I said. On the porch she paused. If you ever need a letter for your building about quiet hour or visitor guidance, email me. It helps when policy travels. Paper with shoes, I said. Our favorite, she laughed, waved, and left the way good officials should through a door that still trusts itself. I set the kettle and a new tab. Agency, official visit 1-page, ask for full name, ID, case hash. Call main office to verify speaker. Choose front room, porch. Keep bedrooms private unless required. Scope, what do you need to see today? Provide logs, clinic notes, policies. No filming, no posting. Document time, duration. What was shared? Follow-up email. Thanks for visit. Confirming closure status. Taryn read it and exhaled. I didn't know I needed a script for Knox. Everything deserves a script except love, I said. Love deserved a calendar. At 5 p.m., a text arrived from the downstairs neighbor. Mrs. Flores, did people bother you today? I heard voices. All good. I wrote. If anyone asks about noise, we still do quiet hour and muffins. She replied with a heart and an order. Blueberry. Please, I begged. Because carbs explain civilization. At 6 o'clock, Cheryl rang, timer in hand, humility on. I heard a rumor, she said softly. Is everything? Fine, Taryn said. We passed the boring test, Cheryl grinned. Your specialty. She put soup on the stove and dishes in the rack like a medal without speeches. At 6:29, she left a pie and took out the trash. That's motherhood with verbs. At 7:10, Rhonda texted, do you need anything? Yes, I replied. I promise if anyone asks you for drama, you serve no. She wrote back, no is on my menu now. I believed her another inch. 2 days later, a card was slipped under our door, no signature, just 6 careful words, sorry. Newborns are loud. I forgot. We slid one back. They are. Our quiet hour is posted. Muffins downstairs. Peace doesn't demand a parade. It bakes and keeps moving. We ended the week with a small porch had a laundry. Taryn, me, to grandmother's, and a baby deciding about thumbs. I showed them the agency visit page, now laminated like a good sermon. We added one line at the bottom: if the knock is honest, welcome it. If the knock is hungry, feed it paper. Everyone laughed, then everyone nodded. Andre looked at the baby like a man who finally knows where to stand. I used to think protection was volume, he said. And now, I asked. It's verification and a front room. Taryn leaned her head on his shoulder. And a kettle, always a kettle, I said. Before bed, I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences and gay the wickets. Lines, badges aren't villains. Panic is, verify first. Then be kind. Boring is a compliment that sleeps through the night. If peace feels fragile, lemonade it. I slid the page into the stack vat, loyal, bilingual in yes and no, set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. Then I slept like a woman whose front room has chairs, whose binder has tabs, and whose kettle outtranks every siren on her street. Week 6 asked a bigger question. Who holds the baby when the calendar does not blink? Jobs wake back up. Bills don't nap. Even miracles need Tuesdays. So we went shopping not for cribs or opinions, but for a daycare with a spine. I took the binder in a tote, and my standards in my mouth. Turn number 1 had fairy decals and a webcam for parents. Live stream your little one all day. The director sang. We don't stream people, I said, gentle as a door that knows its hinges. Do you have glass walls, a sign and log, and 2-person verification for pickup instead? She blinked like I'd spoken in receipts. We thanked her and left our smile in the parking lot. Turn number 2 had sunlight, low shelves, and policies that sounded like they had seen weather. The director, Miss Chen, wore sneakers and a watch. She pointed with verbs: check-in, parent code plus photo ID the first week, authorized pickup, paper list, code word, staff calls for any change. No photos, classrooms are camera-free. School posts, bulletin boards, not fees. Sick policy, thermometer, not theater. Evacuation plan, laminated, drilled, posted by every door. Do you allow surprises? I asked. We allow schedules, she said, smiling like a hymn. We chose her before my kettle cooled that night. The binder got a new tab, daycare packet, 1 page on top, authorized. Parents plus Cheryl. 30-minute visits. No pickup unless pre-approved that morning. Code word, Peaches same as hospital. Never texted. No photos of our child by staff or families. Medical, meds only with written form. No, just a little Tylenol. Sunscreen, diaper, brand list attached. No swaps, emergency, call parents. If unreachable, call Ms. Rivera. Then Walter. Release note. Never release on phone request alone. Paper or parent in person. We copied immunizations, insurance, and the pediatric after visit summary. We packed the folder like a parachute and went to bed on purpose. First day became a ceremony because we kept it small. At the door, Cheryl asked, "May I walk in with you?" Yes, Taryn said. Hand off, 1 photo for the fridge and no lingering. Cheryl set her timer herself. She washed hands, breathed like a grown-up, kissed the air near a tiny forehead. And when the timer chimed, she whispered, "See you at Sunday dinner," and left without auditioning for grief. That's love with a clock. Inside, Miss Chen took our packet like it was a language she spoke. Your code word? She asked. Peaches, Taryn said. Ms. Chen made a note where policy lives. We placed a baby in a room that didn't lie, and walked out like a family that had practiced being brave. In the car, Andre stared ahead. I used to think leaving meant not loving enough. And now? I asked. It means trusting policies we wrote, he said. And people who respect them. Welcome to Tuesday, I said. At 11 p.m. The test arrived wearing a cousin. The front desk called. Trey is here for pickup. He says he's surprising you. No surprises, I said. He's not authorized. Code word. The receptionist smiled into the phone line. He doesn't have it. Then he doesn't have our child, I said. We'll send a sentence he can keep. We texted Trey to lines. No pickup without paper. No surprise with people. He replied, my bad. Growth is a short text with no emojis. We added a line to the packet. If anyone uses the word surprise, treat us know. 2 days later. The storm rehearsed the building. The sky wore tin. The lights flickered. Miss Chen texted at 10:04. Power may cycle. We're executing storm plan. Shelter room. Battery fans. Text updates on the hour. Early pickup welcome but not required. Our house has a storm kit. But that day the daycare had 1-2. Flashlights said don't cry. Water that doesn't negotiate. and teachers who know how to sing the alphabet slow. We made early pickup because we could. When we arrived, Miss Chen had the sign-out log open and the question ready. We answered like people who earn naps. On the way out, a teacher pointed to a laminated page by the exit. If we evacuate, gives maple tree on the east lot. If you arrive and we're gone, gives check the board. Text maple. I exhaled. Paper with shoes, I said again. Miss Chen laughed. Works in storms. The binder got thicker that night. Storm, power card home and daycare home, flashlights, candles, charge fans, one cooler bag ready, gas off if told. Neighbors checked. Daycare, trust their drills. Don't call every 5 minutes. Wait for their text. Show up with ID and patience. After, one small treat, early bed. No guests. We taped a mini map inside the stroller basket and underlined maple tree in ink that doesn't blush. Work tried again with the old trick. Quick trip next week, Andre? 2 nights. Andre looked to the calendar like a man who knows its loyalty. I can travel next month. This week I'm on newborn shift. I can cover early calls instead, to Dots. Then, okay, we'll slide it. He set the phone down. My stomach didn't thunder this time. That's because your calendar learned English, I said. Postpartum has its own weather. On Thursday, Taryn's face told the truth first. Everything is loud, she whispered in the kitchen. Even kindness. I put on the kettle and my quiet. We wrote a feelings plan the way you write fire exits. Sleep before decisions. 1 ask per person per day. Mine, dishes. Andre's, laundry. Taryn's, shower. Phone tree, me give Cheryl, gives Ms. Rivera if we need extra hands. Doctor, if the blues bring lies for more than 2 weeks. Taryn read it and did not argue with paper. Thank you, she said. I needed a script for my heart. Everyone does, I answered. We're just honest about it. Friday, Rhonda asked for a thing I didn't expect. She arrived, timer in hand, and set a small folder on the counter. I updated my will and beneficiaries, she said. Eyes forward. No more messes with names or surprises on paper. May I list the baby for a small bond through her parents to cash at 18? Yes, I said. Through her parents only. No accounts in her name now. She nodded like a woman who had met a cliff and chosen a better path. I brought a notary appointment for Tuesday. Look at you, I said. Bringing kettle energy to the courthouse, she laughed. The timer chimed. She left on time with less weight on her keys. We closed the week with Friday pizza and 3 frames by the door. ASK first welcome. Wash hands. 20 minutes, whisper. Peach's tiny card. Turned backward, a reminder. Not a reveal. Andre held the baby and read the new slip I tucked into the shadow box. Surprises are for parties. Pickups are for paper. He smiled. I used to think safety was the hardware. And now? It's hardware and handwriting. Good, I said. That's a house. Before bed I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and gave the week its pages. A good daycare speaks please in paper. If a pickup uses the word surprise, say no like a lullaby. Storms respect drills. Babies respect clocks. Adults respect logs. Postpartum needs a plan, not pep talks. Safety is locks you can touch and lists you can read. I slid the page into the stack. Set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice behaving. Then I slept like a woman whose daycare knows her code, whose family knows their lines, and whose house knows the difference between cute and safe and chooses safe every time. Week 7 taught us this truth. Trips are tempting. Paper is wiser. It started with a text that smelled like shortcut. Let's get the baby a passport. Quick mobile notary can swing by Sunday. Rhonda, we don't do quick with people. We do correct. I put on the kettle and opened the binder to a new tab. Travel and documents, baby passport. Parents in person at acceptance facility. No proxies. Consent for minor travel. Both parents notarized exact dates, itinerary, lodging, who pays, emergency care authorization. Out-of-state trips. No overnights for non-parents until 12 months. Day trips by schedule only. Flights, lap infant only if we planned it. Otherwise own C+ approved car seat. Airline and TSA. Printed policies in folder. Milk, ice packs allowed. No posting at airport. Medical. Pediatrician clearance for anything longer than 2 hours away. No Sunday notarizations born of panic. We worship kettles on Sundays. I sent the page to the group with 1 sentence. We'll do passports the boring, legal, nap-friendly way. Rhonda replied with a parade of eagerness. I found a travel deal. Florida into weeks. Sunshine helps babies. Calendars help babies, I wrote. Florida can wait. Cheryl texted privately. I'll back your no with biscuits. That is a leadership with butter. We booked the post office for next Friday appointment, not vibes. The clerk, a woman whose stamp had seen decades, looked over her glasses. Both parents present. Birth certificate, IDs. Check made out to the U.S. Department of State? Yes, ma'am, I said. And a nap scheduled for after, she smiled. You'd be amazed how many folks try to bring grandma instead. Grandma brings snacks, I said. Parents bring pens. At the counter, Andre held the baby. Taryn signed in blue ink. The clerk checked boxes like a lullaby. We asked for routine processing, not rush, because the only thing urgent in this house is tea kettles. On the way out, a man offered expedite services from a folding chair. We kept walking. If a passport needs a camp chair, it needs a calendar first. That night the binder grew another leaf. Air travel one-pager for future us before booking. Pediatrician okay. Seats together. Alpha the grown-up with the bladder and the patients. Packing. Copy of birth cert, passport, consent letters, meds list, printed airline infant policy. At security, breast milk, formula allowed. Declare it. Ask for visual inspection if you prefer. On board, feed at takeoff, landing. No all passing. No strangers' photos. If someone says just hold her while we. Gives not today. I tucked the page under storm plan where other weather lives. 2 days later. Rhonda tried a detour. I booked a mobile notary to pre-sign a travel consent so I can take her to the beach for tonight's. Surprise. We don't notarize surprises, I said. Consent letters are for parents to grant, not for grandmothers to collect, she deflated. Then studied. May I come by to read your travel page? Yes, I said. Bring a timer. She arrived at 5 o'clock, read every line, and God bless growth asked. What age do day trips start? After 6 months with parents or Cheryl, I said. Back by dinner. Sunday morning. Home for the nap, she nodded. Then I'll wait. And I'll buy shade instead of tickets. That's policy doing the quiet work of love. On Friday we met Mr. Salazar, the peppermint notary who should run for office. We pre-drafted a medical authorization for Cheryl not travel covering emergencies. If she's babysitting. Permission to seek care. Our insurance info. Pediatrician contact. Valid for 12 months. Void for out of state without a separate trip letter. He stamped until the paper told the truth. Families sleep better when verbs are notarized, he said. Amen, I answered. Week's middle tried to sell us memories disguised as content. A new parent retreat DM promised photo ops and brand collabs. Taryn replied with 3 lines of free of future. We don't monetize our child. We don't do ads inside her home. No photos of her face, ever, delete, quiet hours, Saturday. Miss Chen daycare emailed a field trip permission tiny farm, 40 minutes away, 2 hours total. Parents invited, no photos shared. We said no for now and asked for photos of goats without children. She replied with a picture of a goat who looked like he knew bylaws. I printed it for the fridge, goat approved. We added a line to the daycare packet. No off-site trips until 12 months. We'll bring the goat to us in book form. Then the airport test came to us. A family friend stopped by and said, I work TSA. Here's how to skip lines with a stroller. We don't skip people, I said. We plan visits. We print policies. He grinned, respectful. You're the reason my job is easier. Your job is the reason my binder is thicker, I said. Mutual aid in plain English. 2 days later, a postcard arrived. Beach umbrellas, hot sand. The handwriting of impatience. Wish she could be here. Memories don't make themselves. Aunt Lorraine set the card by the kettle and wrote our reply on a note I never mailed. Memories do make themselves when children nap on time and adults keep promises. I put the note in the not sent pocket of the binder. Some sentences are just for our spine. We ended the week with a porch practice we called Airport at Home, not bag scripts. I taped 3 cue cards inside the door. If asked for face photo, we don't share her face. Thank you for understanding. If someone offers to hold her just for a second, we don't hand off. Germ season, if lying gets loud, we'll step aside and try again. No apologies to chaos. Andre read them out loud like vows. Taryn smiled like someone whose shoulders remember down. Rhonda listened from the steps. Timer in her lap. When it chimed, she stood without speeches. I'll be the ride to the airport when you're ready, she said. I can love a drop-off, that's a generous verb, I said. Keep it. Before bed I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and paid the weekend lines. Trips are for calendars. Babies are for clocks. Passports are a counter, not ADM. Notaries can bless verbs. They cannot bless impatience. If love demands a beach, it can learn to wait for shade. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual in yes and no, said the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. Then I slept like a woman whose passport will arrive by mail, whose family travels by policy, and whose kettle still outranks every ocean on the map. Week 8 reminded us urgency loves masks. Verification loves tea. It started at 7:41 p.m., right as a baby yawned her way toward Mercy. My phone rang with a number that pretended to be the hospital. Good evening, a voice said, rushing. This is Nurse Kelly from Pediatrics. We have your granddaughter here. We need consent to treat and immediate payment to proceed. Do you have a card ready? We don't sprint for strangers. We follow the page. Which hospital? I asked. County Medical, she said. Paper rattled on her end like theater. What's the code word? I asked. Silence met its teacher. Ma'am. We don't make decisions without code words, I said. Ours begins with AP. She tried to guess that wasn't a word and wasn't ours. Then she reached for a different mask. Fine, transfer $1,500 now, and we'll stabilize her first. I set the kettle between us. We don't do money before medicine. And we don't do calls. We didn't start. I hung up. Called Taryn on video to rings, to faces. And met the only truth that counts: baby snoring like small weather on her mama's chest. We called County Medical on the number printed on our clinic page. Not the one that tried to sell panic. They checked. No baby, no case, no nurse. We added a sentence to the agency official visit tab. If urgency asks for money, it's lying. Then we wrote a fresh card for the phone. Emergency call script. All of us ask full name, case number, code word. Hang up. Call the main desk number from our papers. Call the parents on video. No payments by phone, gift card, Zelle, link, or tears. If it's real, it survives 5 minutes in a kettle. We taped the card to the handset with clear tape and a lack of apology. The next night, Andre got a different costume text from bank fraud. Unusual transfer. Click to confirm. He didn't click. He walked the message to me like a man delivering a snake in a jar. We opened the binder to bank insurance and read our own handwriting out loud. No links. In person only. We drove to the branch the next morning and set up verbal passphrases, transaction alerts, and branch-only changes. The manager nodded like we'd saved her Saturday. We used to think safety was locks. Andre said as we left. And now, it's asterisk locks, lists, and 5 minutes of not doing anything. Welcome to wisdom, I said. Because storms travel in flocks, the downstairs intercom buzzed at noon. Package, a cheerful voice said. I checked the camera. No uniform, no box to extra opinions. We don't open for voices. I said through the speaker. Leave it at the office. He tried charm. I tried policy. Paper won and the lobby stayed honest. We added a delivery card beside the door. No unknown couriers upstairs. Packages gives front office only. Sign only if we started the purchase. Photo on delivery. Not on my porch. That evening, Rhonda arrived with timers set and eyebrows unarmed. I got a grandma scam last year. She confessed at the sink. Cried before I called. I would have wired anything. You're not alone, I said. The mask is getting better. Our scripts must too. We practiced the emergency call script like a song. Each person took a line. The kettle kept time. And the baby squeaked approval at no payments. Rhonda read the last line twice and smiled without asking the room to clap. Growth sounds like repetition without drama. 2 days later, the building posted a notice. Fire inspection next Wednesday 9 to 12. Staff may enter if you're not home, we replied politely. In writing, we'll be home. Please knock. We'll escort, Ms. Rivera added. Uni prefers present entry to the clipboard. Buildings learn faster with clipboards. We made a one-pager and slid it under storm plan. Inspections and repairs were present. No codes given. We opened the door. Photos of work only. No living spaces. Staff sign in out with time. We keep the work complete slip. If there's a list, chaos gets bored. That week also brought our first babysitter, a friend of Cheryl's named Marina. Recommended like a good soup recipe. We interviewed her at the table with the same calm we use for notarizing verbs. Show us your photo ID, Taryn said. Tell us what you do if the power goes out, Andre added. I asked the question most folks forget. How do you leave on time? She answered everything like a person who likes checklists better than applause. We did a shadow evening, Marina with us there, then a real evening 2 hours. Restaurant 8 blocks away. Phones on loud, a card on the counter. Emergency gives, call 911. Then parents. Contact list printed. Ms. Rivera, Walter. No visitors. No posting. One video call with parents if the house needs it. Not the heart. When we came back, the baby was asleep, the sink was humble. And Marina had written 3 lines in a little log. Feeding time. Diaper. 1 lullaby soft. I hired her longer than the calendar can see. We added babysitter packet to the binder and slept less like guards, more like people. On Friday, the pediatric clinic scheduled a telehealth check. The link looked like truth. We still verified it. Called the clinic directly, confirmed provider, time, platform. During the visit, the nurse asked for the baby's full name and job. Taryn glanced at our telehealth card taped to the laptop. Confirm provider by clinic call. Say the name once. Do not type it in chat. No recording. End with a summary in the portal. Screenshots of advice gives, print plus binder. The nurse smiled at our paranoia dressed as discipline. You all sleep better than most, she said. We do. Saturday. Cousin Trey tried one more outfit, the helpful tech nephew. Let me set up smart locks, he said. Already opening an app. We use dumb locks with smart people. I answered. Deadbolts. Keys counted. Logs signed. He chuckled, then nodded. He's learning to put his clever where it belongs. His own door. We made a tech policy page. Door locks stay mechanical. Cameras face out, not in. No mix in living spaces. No baby monitors on the internet. Updates on our schedule. Not at midnight. Piece doesn't need a firmware refresh. At week's end. The phone rang again. New number. Old hunger. This is Officer Ruiz, your grandson. We don't have one, I said. But we have a script. Click. Kettle. Amen. I printed a tiny card and slid it into the shadow box by the door. If urgency is real, it knows our code word in our daylight. If it demands money, it's not medicine, it's marketing. Andre read it out loud. Taryn kissed the baby's hair. Rhonda's timer chimed. She stood, washed her cup, and left on time with a wave that didn't beg for a scene before bed. I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the gospel of earned sentences, and paid the week in lines. Scams borrow uniforms. Truth brings case numbers. 5 quiet minutes and a kettle will bankrupt most emergencies. Babysitters who log lullabies can have my house keys. Apps can't. Deadbolts sing in one note. I sleep in the key of amen. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual in yes and no, said the deadbolt. Click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice staying honest. Then I slept like a woman whose phone knows its place, whose binder carries the weight, and whose family no longer mistakes urgency for truth, not even at 7:41 p.m. Week 9 arrived with clipboards and cute disguises. Babies pull paperwork out of the bushes. I pull a kettle out of the cabinet. It started at the pediatric clinic. A new clerk slid us a stack topped with a smile that said, just sign. HIPAA authorization. She chirped. This lets us share records with partners so you get great offers. We don't sign moods. We sign sentences. I'll read, I said. Glasses on. Kettle in my head. Line for gave away the store, all providers, all dates, marketing allowed. Not in this house, we'll do a limited authorization, I said. And wrote our own in the margin. Purpose. Care coordination only, no marketing. Who? Named clinic plus name specialist. What? Last 12 months, immunizations, visit summaries. How long? 6 months. No redisclosure. The clerk blinked like she'd never met a pen with elbows. The nurse smiled like she'd just been spared a meeting. We added a new tab to the binder right there on their counter. Signatures and consents, baby. We read every line. We restrict scope, time, and recipients. We cross out marketing. We initial changes. We keep a copy or we don't sign. Paperwork behaves better when it knows we carry a pen. Daycare tried next with good intentions. Media release, Miss Chen said, handing a single page. Optional. Some parents like photos on the passworded app. We don't publish our child, I said. Warm as laundry. But we'll accept face-down shots, hands on blocks. Back of head at story circle printed for the bulletin board, not the internet, Miss Chen nodded. We wrote our own checkbox, opt out of all digital images. Opt into classroom print photos with no faces. No names on displays. She stapled our sentence to their form like a treaty between adults. Peace got pushpins instead of uploads. On Thursday, pharmacy scanned a bottle and offered sugar. Enroll baby in our rewards with your phone number. The cashier sang. We don't enroll people who can't drive, I said. Rings up fine as cash. She laughed, typed "oh," and the receipt kept its manners. We taped a new mini card to the wallet. No loyalty programs for the baby. No birthdays or phone numbers at counters. If the clerk needs a field, type "nah." Cute is not a currency we spend. Friday. The church newsletter called Taryn. We'd love a welcome baby photo for the website. We do mailbox first, Taryn said. You'll get a name card in May. That's our announcement. Our readers would love a picture. The lady insisted. Our child would love an app. Taryn replied. Wholly incorrect. We mailed the name cards on heavy stock with stamps that smell like restraint. Phones can clap. We prefer doors. Saturday. A pop-up photographer flagged us at the park light reflector. Quick tongue. I do first spring minis 10 shots, 5 poses. 1 copyright assignment to me so I can build my brand. You can build your brand with geese, I said. The baby keeps her face and her name. He pivoted to just -1 photo for my portfolio. We pivoted to walking back home. We slid a bright sheet into the binder. Photo, media policy, everyone, no faces online. No names plus locations together anywhere. No tagging by others. Prints okay for fridges, frames, and grandmothers. If asked twice, we leave. Freedom loves shoes. Then came the form people forget arbitration agreement at the clinic's new portal. Click agree to schedule visits. The website smirked. We don't trade rights for convenience. We called the clinic directly. We'll use the portal without the arbitration checkbox, I said. Or real phone book like it's 1998, the office manager saying, Blessed enabled appointments by phone for our chart. We sent a thank you note with actual link. Remember, IT will do anything for stationery. Midweek. Andre's HR sent a family benefits update with a link that wanted everything. He printed the form and took a pen to its appetite, declined life insurance upsells. With add beneficiaries later and tiny hunger. Checked paper statements for anything that touches money. Drew a box, no third-party data sharing. He slid the copy into the binder like the grown man he has become. I used to think grown-up meant big purchases, he said. And now, it's small refusals, yes, I said. And bedtime. The only mess of the week came from neighbor Brian, blessed be his hobbies. He posted a ring-cam clip of our porch baby carrier. Our address half visible. Caption cute as a trap. Newest resident, we didn't scold. We sent a script, hey Brian please remove the clip with our porch address. We keep our baby offline. Feel free to post your cat instead. He's cinematic. Brian apologized, pulled it down, and taped a sticky to his own screen. No neighbors plus numbers. May we all have sticky notes like commandments. We finished the week the way ink like Sab Mr. Salazar's with a peppermint. Notarizing a simple permission to pick up for Cheryl if daycare ever needs help today only. Date, time window, child's initials only, code word or signatures. No surprises, no forever. No blank checks, folks bring me emergencies, he said, stamp steady. You bring me plans, emergencies nap, I said when plans have paper at home. I added to frames by the door. ASK first the old hymn. Sign second the new verse. Then I slid a fresh one page before you sign check into the binder's front pocket. Why purpose? Who exact names? What narrow data when short time where it lives no marketing? No Ray share a copy or no Delander read it out loud. Taran kissed the baby's temple. The baby sneezed in agreement. I set the deadbolt click. Amen and cracked the window so the night could practice saying please. Then I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl and paid the week in lines. A signature is a key, don't hand it to strangers. If a form wants everything, give it something or give it back. Fridges deserve photos. Feeds do not. Rights traded for speed return as regrets. Kettles outlive portals. Pens outlive panic. I slid the page into the stack fat, loyal. Bilingual in yes and no and slept like a woman whose family reads before it signs. Whose daycare says please, and whose porch doesn't audition for anyone's brand. Week 10 arrived wearing a necktie and a yawn. Jobs woke up. Bill stopped whispering. The calendar asked, are you serious? We answered with paper. Taran's manager floated a soft return that was soft everywhere but the clock. Quick stand-ups at 10 and 2, he said. You can pump in the wellness nook near the copier. We don't pump near toner. We plan. I put on the kettle and opened a fresh tab. Work re-entry 1 page block times on calendar. Pump. Feed. Quiet hour. Private room with a door not a restroom. Outlet. Chair. Sink nearby. To 20-minute windows adjust as needed. Camera off during pump blocks. Meetings rescheduled, not overlapped. No wellness nook beside printers, hallways or glass walls. Written plan sent to manager plus HR. Review into weeks. Adjust with data, not vibes. Taran emailed it exactly like a grown woman who reads her own life out loud. Manager replied, understood. HR added the sentence we like, we'll support this. Look at that policy with please. Milk is not a mystery. It is logistics. We built a milk card for home daycare. Labels. Baby initials, date. Volume. Sharpie on tape. No guessing games. Storage. Fridge at daycare. No microwaves ever. Warm and water bath. Order, oldest first. Returns, unused bottles back daily. Spills, no apologies. Say try again and hand us the incident slip. Allergies, none yet. If that changes, we write it big. Day 1, a bottle came home with someone else's lid. We didn't perform sadness. We paged Miss Chen and she fixed the system before lunch. Good places love corrections more than compliments. Andre and Taran divided mornings like adults who have seen a Tuesday. Andre, drop off. Stroller folded, door frame trio recited to himself welcome. Wash hands. 20 minutes. Taran, pump blocks, midday check. Pick up on time with a smile that survives traffic. I added a small frame by their door. If you're late, you text before you are. The hoe tried to start a stroller war. New sign, no personal items in hallway. Translation, trip a grandmother. Blame a wheel. We didn't sulk. We showed up, Ms. Rivera and I attended the meeting with our polite elbows. I brought fire code printouts, photos of the tidy landing, and a sketch of a full flat wall rack inside our unit for stroller parking. Hallway stay clear. I said, families stay safe. We'll solve this inside our door and we'll share the plan. Motion passed. Luis installed the rack on Tuesday. Stroller now lives like a folded sentence, useful, quiet, legal. We wrote a card for the binder, stroller and stuff, nothing in hallways. Hooks inside the door. Rack for wheels. Night check, landing clear. Latch sings click, amen. The mailbox brought tax season whispers. I heard April's footsteps, and made us a receipts pocket, daycare receipts monthly. W10 from daycare year-end info. Medical visit summaries. Out-of-pocket tallies, copays, prescriptions. Nothing with the baby's SSN leaves the binder, unless it has a destination and a guard. This isn't advice. It's need. Needness pays you in sleep. Family tried a reunion by FaceTime parade. 10 minutes with each cousin. The group chat begged, pass the baby like a microphone. We don't pass people. We scheduled TARY and posted our script. We'll join out to 10 p.m. for one 10-minute hello. Camera points at us, not the baby. If you love her, you love limits. We showed up, waved, said we miss potato salad, and left on time. The cousins learned a thing. Love can fit in 10 minutes without bleeding into nap. Sleep advice arrived with bows and opinions. Just let her cry it out, someone whispered, as if telling us where the gold is buried. We don't crowdsource bedtime. We write our plan. Sleep plan on the fridge, lights low. Sound soft, routine short. Feed, change, story, bed. If she cries, we decide, not the room. No commentary from guests. If you're here at bedtime, you're doing dishes. Rhonda read it, nodded, and grabbed the sponge with a dignity that sparkled. Work tried one more trick, quick 6 p.m. sync. Andre replied with a sentence that grew him up. Offline 6 to 8 for bedtime. Available 8:30 a.m. or 1 p.m. tomorrow, to dots. No thunder. See you at 1. That's a man who clocks in and out. Daycare invited us to a parent night. No kids. Just chairs and the emergency binder tour. Miss Chen opened drills like hymnals. Fire. Severe weather. Shelter-in-place maps. Radios. Flashlights. Allergies color-coded. Copies of action plans. Custody authorized pickups, paper only. No phone changes. Lockdown code phrases. Practice quarterly. These are not scary, she said. They are choreography. Amen. We copied their evac plan into our binder, tab daycare, and slept like people who had rehearsed leaving. I gave the house to new tiny frames by the door. Clocks are kind to babies. Not today is a full sentence, and one more above the kettle. For me, make tea before making points. Before bed I open the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and pay the week in lines. Calendars grow teeth when you feed them verbs. Milk is logistics. Respect the labels and nobody cries. Hallways are for leaving, not for living. 10 minutes can hold real love if goodbye shows up on time. Rights whispered become rooms. Rooms become rest. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual in yes and no, set the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so night could practice being gentle. Then I slept like a woman whose pump has a room, whose stroller has a hook, and whose calendar finally does what it says out loud. Week 11 arrived with a lesson: babies teach better than books. Love is calm at 1:12 a.m. The monitor crackled. The room breathed wrong. Taran's palm found a forehead that had learned weather. Thermometer, I said. Already putting on the kettle, the only siren we let in. 101.8 F blinked back, honest and unafraid. We didn't sprint. We followed the page. I opened the binder to the tab we pray we never need and keep anyway. Fever and first illness, 1 page. Rectal, axillary only, no forehead wishes. Thresholds. Call clinic is greater than or equal to 100.4 in infants as directed. Follow age-specific guidance we already printed. On-call nurse via clinic main line, not links, not nurse Kelly in a text. Dosing chart by weight, not vibes pre-filled at last visit. No aspirin. Decision tree. Kettle gives, nurse gives, clinic. Urgenter for red flags only. Andre read the lines out loud. Like a prayer with numbers. Taran called the real clinic number. Nurse Chanel answered with a voice that graduates exclamation points. Breathing easy? Feeding some. Any rash? We answered sentences, not storms. She recommended home care, and a same-day clinic slot we could handle. I pulled the dosing card, traced a row with my finger, and handed Andre the measuring syringe, the kind that refuses to lie. We set a timer for recheck and a calendar for the appointment. By 2:02, the fever respected the math. By 2:14, the kettle said amen. We taped a new mini frame by the medicine basket, measure log. Recheck, math beats panic. Morning brought clinic Tuesday. The waiting room had toys that know about disinfectant and a magazine that didn't. We carried our symptom log times, temps, doses like a ticket that prints honesty. The doctor smiled at our chart. Parents who write sleep better, she said. We like sleep, I said back. We collect it where we can. The verdict, mild virus, fluids, boring care. We accepted boring the way saints accept bread on our way out. The desk tried to give us a comprehensive consent for research. We kept our pen. No marketing, no broad sharing, 6 months only, named providers. Paper nodded and behaved. Sickness invites company. We posted a porch note, sick week rules no visits. Drop meals, wave at the camera. Texts only. No calls during nap windows, soup wins. Glitter loses. Cheryl arrived at 5:01 with broth in a jar and humility in a sweater. She set it down, rang once, and left before the porch grew a microphone. Rhonda sent a text, praying. Timer holstered. Growth wear sneakers now. By Thursday, temperature and temper settled. The universe, being itself, offered a playdate request the same afternoon. Come by. Said her neighbor, Lydia, we've got a new puppy and a trampoline. We don't bounce on surprises. I sent the playdate card we've been writing in pencil and then ink. Playdate policy to houses. One piece wear, one house only. No touring. Who? Named adults present the whole time. Guns? Locked, unloaded, and you say it out loud. Pool water. Barriers plus active eyes. Otherwise not today. Pets, leashed away for babies. Food, parents supply. Allergies written. Photos, parents only. No posting. Time, 45 minutes. Ends when the timer does. Lydia blinked, then replied, we can do that. Guns locked. Puppy and crate. No trampoline today. Look at that, safety can be spoken without the room fainting. We scheduled for next week when the baby was fully well. Calendars are how love keeps promises to lungs. The fever taught the car something too. On Saturday we visited the fire station's car C-check appointment, not vibes. A tech with forearms like policy inspected every buckle. Seat angle is good. Straps at armpit. No bulky coats. No used seats you don't know the story of. We don't adopt mystery plastic, I said. He installed it like a man who has met gravity. We added a card to the glove box. Car card C-check every growth spurt and seasons. No coat and seat. Emergency sheet behind visor names. Pediatrician. Code word. We pull over for tears. We don't race naps. Peace rides rear facing and wears receipts. Work circled back with a quick 5:30 invite. Andre sent our him. Offline 6 to 8 for bedtime. Can do 1 p.m. tomorrow, to Dots. See you at 1. Taryn's manager tried to park a stand-up on pump time. She replied with her plan, attached, highlighted. HR added protected time in writing. Protected time sleeps better than polite time. We taped a new tiny frame by Taryn's desk. Pump is work. Treat it like a meeting with milk. Daycare hosted parents' safety night too. Medicine and allergies. Miss Chen held up an EpiPen trainer like a teacher who has seen weather. Write it. Post it, practice it, she said. We love boring where emergencies live. We handed in our medication plan even though we needed none format filled. Blanks lined out like a boundary. We added a cross-check to our binder. My cabinet rule label everything. Log every dose. Never store mystery syringes. When in doubt, throw it out and write it down. Neighbor Brian redeemed himself without a prompt. He brought a printout from the city about free gun locks and water safety classes. He slipped it under our mat with a sticky, no porch posts. Just paper. Look at Brian, I told the kettle. I convert to the church of handouts. We signed up for the water class and asked the instructor our favorite question. What's the script for telling a relative no about backyard pools? She handed us a sentence that fit in a pocket. We love you. We will visit after nap when the gate is locked and you are on the deck the whole time. We printed it, framed it and gave the pool a scheduled at week's end. We held a 5-minute family stand-up at the kitchen island, no slides. Just verbs, Andre, car seat checked. Diary updated. Daycare payments autologged. Taryn, pump plan holding. Clinic portal summary printed. Me, fever tab laminated. Playdate policy shared with Ms. Rivera for her bulletin board. Rhonda, God bless the timer, asked. Do I have an action? Yes, I said. Grandma comfort kit, spare pacifier, burr cloth, baby safe thermometer. And your script for phone scams? She grinned and saluted with a dish towel. That's a woman who finally enjoys assignments. I put one more frame above the kettle, make tea. Read the line. Then act. Then I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl. The chapel of earned sentences and gave the week. Its lines. Fever respects math and mothers with binders. Safety is a question asked before the invitation. Cars keep promises when plastic tells the truth. Pumps are work. Naps are contracts. Timers are peace with batteries. If love can't live on paper, it won't survive Tuesday. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual and yes and no, said the deadbolt click. Amen, and cracked the window so the night could practice being gentle. And I slept like a woman whose thermometer knows the numbers, whose calendar grew a backbone, and whose front door still believes in ask first even at 1:12 a.m. May finally kept its promise, stamps licked, envelopes gone. The mailbox doing the announcing like it ought to. We didn't post anything. We mailed everything. The name cards landed on fridges and mantels by noon Saturday. By Sunday morning, doorbells rang with casseroles that spelled correctly. Rhonda texted first, "May I hear her name on the porch at 3 o'clock? I'll bring flowers without smell." "Yes," Taryn replied. 3 o'clock to 3:20, "Thank you for asking." I put on the kettle and set the little frame under ASK first to a fresh verse. "Welcome wash hands 20 minutes whisper her name were old-fashioned in modern ways. Church asp. Gently this time. Porch benediction." The pastor texted. "No stage, no stream. I'll stand by the steps and say the blessing the long way quiet." "Yes," I wrote back. To 30. "Want him in your heart, not your phone." He came with a pocket Bible and good shoes. We stood in the sunlight like people who remember what a doorway is for. He said her name once, soft, then said peace twice. Firm. Neighbors waved from their steps. Nobody filmed the Lord. We slid a new card into the binder. Name day house rules, not a party. A pause, no gifts with monograms. We guard the letters. Photos for frames, not fees. Blessings at 2:30, lasagna at 4. Nap at everything. At 3 o'clock sharp. Rhonda arrived in a dress that knew respect. Timer on the sill. Flowers behaved. She said the name like porcelain. Then did the bravest thing I've seen her do. She left the silence alone. The porch didn't have to become a stage. "May I be her ride to Storeyard when she's older?" She asked at the threshold. "Be her ride," I said. Never her announcement. She smiled. Timer chimed. And the door learned dignity again. Monday we tried the park sunlight. Ducks with opinions, and a small crowd of mothers whose sneakers squeak authority. A woman with a camera the size of a stove stepped into our orbit. "Just one shot," she sang. "I tag, you share, we grow. My audience loves real moms. We love real naps," Taryn said, pointing to our stroller card. "No faces, no tagging. We're keeping her timeline small." Camera lady muttered something about community. I nodded toward our community, the kettle at home, and the binder that pays for sleep. We moved to a bench that respected shade and privacy. I wrote the playground code that night and taped it to the stroller basket. "Eyes up, yours on yours." No names yelled across space. No photos of strangers. Ask first always. If a phone gets loud or feet get interesting, we walk. Freedom loves shoes. Midweek brought a question from the past. Cheryl stared at the mantle, where the name cards sat like truth. "Who are her godparents?" she asked, testing the word to see if it still fit in 2025. "We picked custodians for Tuesdays." Taryn said, smiling. "People who hold ordinary." "Say it plainer," I said. "Walter and Ms. Rivera," Andre answered. "If a Tuesday falls apart, paper, calendars, doors, they hold the day until we can." Rhonda swallowed pride and did the right thing. "That's wise," she said. Titles without chores or decorations. We slid a page into the binder. Godparents, what it means here, not legal guardians, that's elsewhere. Notarized. Yes to Tuesdays, rides, soup, boring emergencies. No to surprise theology at nap time. Annual check-in on the porch, no speeches. Walter arrived later with a fountain pen and to theater tickets. "When you're ready," he said. "I will sit with her so you can remember being people." Look at that. I told the kettle. Godparents spelled calendar. Then the group chat tried to grow fangs. Cousin Trey dropped a flyer. Family reunion, live stream. Drop into the feed. Meet the new baby. I answered with a sentence, "We keep polish, we'll join for 10 minutes, camera on us, no baby face." To 10 p.m. "If you love her, you'll love limits," Aunt Lorraine typed. "But her name." I replied, "Lies on paper." Watch your mailbox. 1 to 10 arrived. We did 10 minutes like pros, then left like adults. Boundaries aren't mean. They're punctuation. Thursday brought the playdate we rescheduled after the fever. Lydia greeted us at the door with honesty. "Gun locked," she said first. "Puppy crated." "No trampoline. Who's home?" I asked. "Just me," she said, holding up her phone. "Turn off." Timer set. 45. "She is either one of us or ready to be." Halfway through, an older neighbor wandered in uninvited with an "I brought cookies" tone. Lydia met her at the threshold. "Ask first, please. We're keeping this small." She took the cookies and not the commotion. The room stayed tall. We added Lydia to the people who own clocks list on the fridge. Friday. Miss Cheney mailed a family culture day invite for daycare. Bring a food, a song, a word from home. No filming, we share in room. We cooked cornbread that doesn't crumble under pressure and taught the class to say, "Ask first" in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and timer. The kids learned faster than their parents ever did. I slid a tiny frame into the diaper bag for future classrooms. Our word from home. Please or number, 20 minutes or song. Kettle teachers adore a family with their verbs memorized. Saturday night we did the most radical thing you can do in a loud world. We wrote thank you notes by hand. 10 of them. Stamps like little Emmons. To Miss Chan for drills that sing. To Walter for Tuesday custody. To Ms. Rivera for bulletins with policies. To Brian for choosing paper over porch posts. To the pastor for blessing without broadcast.tary and looked lighter by envelopate. This feels like sleep, she said. That's because gratitude is quiet when you write it, I said. And loud when you post it. We prefer sleep. I closed the night with 2 new frames. Say her name on paper, let the room keep it. Then I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and paid the week in lines. Names belong to mailboxes, not microphones. Godparents are verbs with calendars. Playgrounds behave when ask first goes first. Thank you notes are naps you send through the door. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual in yes and no, set the deadbolt click. Amen, and crack the window so make it learn our rules. And I slept like a woman whose family can finally say a name without trying to sell it. Whose porch remembers whispering, and whose kettle still outruns every algorithm in town. Summer knocked like a brass Dirnaborm, shiny, a little proud of itself. That's when the calendar asked for its boldest trick yet. 1 night away, not a flight, not a spa, just Andre and Taryn at a friend's wedding across town. Home after midnight if the toasts behaved. Cheryl would hold the fort. Rhonda would be on deck with soup and silence. We don't gamble with babies. We staged the night. I put on the kettle and opened a fresh tab. Overnight packet babysitter edition where we are. Address, venue, table number, no alcohol driving pledge. How to reach us, both phones loud, vibrate off, text first, call twice. Medical, pediatrician, nearest urgent, insurance copy. Consent to treat for sitter already notarized. House, breaker, water shut off, gas shut off, photos plus labels. Safety, smoke, CO test button, fire plan maple tree, apartment key count. Baby, bedtime routine card. Dosing chart, fever page, number mysteries in the medicine basket. Rules, no visitors, no posting, no deliveries upstairs, no candles, no microwaving bottles. Script cards by the phone, emergency call, scam filter. Maintenance knock, we hole punched the packet, slid it behind a green tab, and taped 3 mini frames in the kitchen where nerves go to drink water. If unsure, wake us. If urgent, call 911 then us. If it can wait, make tea. Rehearsal came first. At 5:30, Cheryl arrived with a wristwatch that had learned humility. Walk me through the bedtime like I'm not new but not proud, she said. We did the dance slow. Bath lukewarm. 5 minutes, lotion to pumps. Not a novel, pajamas, snaps, not battles. Feed lights low, book short, song softer, down awake. Not abandoned, hand on back 20 count. Leave like you mean it. I handed her the bedtime card, sound machine on to clicks. Nightlight on low. Place on back, empty crib, no extras. If she cries, wait 2 minutes. Whisper you're safe. Restart timer. Log time asleep. Be boring, she breathed. I can be boring. Boring can raise a city, I said. Rhonda came to set the table, no stage. Just played sand, asked the right question. What's my verb? Dishes at 6:30 and goodbye at 6:59, I said. She laughed. But her timer already knew what to do. Wedding day wore a suit and a test. Out for 45. Andre put the baby down for the last nap. Taryn packed the milk like it was money, labeled dated, volumes honest. At 5:02, Cheryl texted from the lobby, may I come up? Yes, Taryn replied. The door learned manners again. We ran the handoff like a relay, phones on loud. Route and venue saved offline. You were there. Right, you're back. No driving after toasts. We'll text 7:30 asleep. 9:30 check. 11:30 on our way. Code word review peaches. If anyone knocks, verify, then front room bedroom stay private. Cheryl saluted with the dish towel. Go be people, she said. That's a benediction I accept. The wedding was earnest vows that remembered verbs. A string quartet that knew when to hush. At 7:28, a text from Cheryl. Down at 7:22, one song. Door locked, amen. Taryn exhaled like a woman whose shoulders remembered down. At 8:51. The first curveball, building alert. Water shut off 10:02 for emergency repair. We don't panic. We prep. I texted Cheryl the no water for our card, fill kettle and pitcher now. Web wipes out. Hand sanitizer at sink. Don't run dishwasher. If bottle needed, use pre-boiled water we set aside. Already poured, she replied. With a photo of 2 full pitchers like a 2-sentence lullaby. At 9:07. Curveball 2, a package buzz. Cheryl answered with the script, leave it office. Knew weren't sleeping, silence behaved. At 9:33. We sent her check-in selfie, shoulders only, no background clues. Then turned our phones face down during the speeches on loud. Not on us. At 10:42, the house wanted a say. The smoke detector chirped that single, impolite note, battery making itself famous. Cheryl texted, single chirp. Baby still sleeping. May I change the battery? Yes, I wrote. Step stool is behind the coats. Fan on first, she changed it with the quiet competence of someone who finally enjoys assignments. Log note, 10:47 battery swapped, test button OK. The monitor stayed upon. The house stayed a house. At 11:22, we rode home in a car that smelled like vows and relief. 11:31 on our way. 11:58, in the lobby. 12:01, deadbolt click. Amen. Cheryl passed the log like a relay. Asleep 7:22. One stir at 8:03 resettled. Bottle 0 didn't need. Diaper 1 9:15. Smoke alarm battery new. Water shut off managed. Sink humble. Timer. Holstered any notes? Taran asked. Only that your system works, Cheryl said. Smiling at the kettle she didn't touch, we paid her the way respect pays, on time in full. With a thank you card already stamped. Morning brought a victory we didn't post. The baby slept to 6:11. The coffee learned its lines. The binder earned another tab. After dash action overnight. What went right? Handoff. Text milk. Chirp fix. Water plan. Tighten. Smoke detector batteries quarterly. Water pitcher habit daily. Add. Mini frame by alarm. 1 chirp equals battery. 5 chirps equals out. Gratitude. Thank you notes in mail by noon. Andre read it out loud like a man who likes outcomes more than adrenaline. I used to think romance was spontaneous, he said, and now? It's prepared so we can be present. Put that on a cake, I said. Or the fridge. 2 days later, a neighbor asked for our overnight template. Grandbaby coming, she said. I have love. I lack lists. We printed a clean overnight packet and removed our names. The gospel travels better without addresses. She cried, then didn't, then bought a label maker. Ms. Rivera put her water shut-off photo on the building board. No apartment numbers. Just diagrams. Louise taped the valves like a map that finally speaks human. Rhonda built her own grandma overnight kit pacifier. Burp cloth, thermometer, batteries, soup recipe, and the emergency call script in 16-point font. She showed it to me like a child with a good report card. I don't audition for panic anymore, she said. That's growth, I replied. It dresses itself. We added a tiny frame under ASK first. Go, be people. Come home on time. Let the binder brag for you, and another above the kettle. Make tea before midnight texts. That one earned its hook. We closed the week with a porch debrief. No drama. Just chairs, Andre. Next time. Backup batteries in the drawer front. Taran, add venue map to the packet. Me, add if water off. Pre-boiled to bottles to the milk card. Cheryl text, your timer taught me to leave. That's new joy. We nodded at a world where leaving on time is affection with shoes. Before bed. I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and paid the night in lines. Romance is prepared, not improvised. 1 chirp is a battery. Panic is a choice. Water outages respect pitchers. Weddings respect Uber. A babysitter with a log can have my keys. A policy with verbs can have my sleep. I slid the page into the stack vat. Loyal, bilingual in yes and no. Set the deadbolt click. Amen and cracked the window so summer could learn our rules. Then I slept like a woman whose house can do midnight without performing. Whose family can leave and return on schedule. And whose binder knows how to hold the night without making a speech. Week 12 packed itself into a trunk. Not a flight. Just 2 hours by car. One night at a quiet hotel. A visit with people who now own clocks. We don't get away, we stage a Tuesday somewhere else. I put on the kettle and opened a fresh tab. Travel packet road trip. Baby route. Primary plus to tour. Gas stop with clean restroom. Urgent care en route. Car. Seat rear facing. No bulky coats. Breaks every 2 hours. Feet out of the seat. Hotel requests in writing. Crib pack and play. Feather free bedding. No connecting door. Away from elevator, ice. Low floor near stairs. No smart speaker in room. Room check, latch, deadbolt, test alarms, locate exits. Sanity kit, travel kettle. White noise, painter's tape outlet covers, curtain gaps. Door wedge, portable CO, smoke combo. Trash bags for dirty clothes. Zip bag over TV remote. Fridge thermometer. Milk, labeled bottles, cooler plus ice packs, mini fridge temp check. Visits, porch, park only. 20 minutes, ask first, no kiss. Eat out plan, corner table. High chair wipe. Order check early, bailout bag by feet. We printed 2 copies, one for the glove box, one for my bag. Paperware's better than memory. Departure was not a vibe. It was a rhythm. We left at first nap, tires humming like a lullaby. At the halfway stop, Andre stretched, I stretched, the baby stretched. And no one said let's just push through. Pushing is for swings, not infants. At the hotel. The front desk tried to love us with an upgrade. Corner suite with connecting door. We don't connect to strangers, I said, kindly. Original request, please. They moved us to doors down and learned a sentence they can sell. Quiet out Trang's fancy. Room check took for minutes and saved ours. Latch. Alarm test, exits, curtains taped, outlets tamed. Remote bagged, door wedged, crib rebuilt to instructions. Fridge read 36F. Milk smiled, dinner was early and short. Corner table, please. We're keeping a schedule. We wiped the chair, ordered food with verbs, asked for the check at sit down, and left before the baby grew opinions about acoustics. 10 minutes of people watching in the lobby counted as culture. No one filmed the lobby. Family met us next morning at the park. Pergola timer set, hands washed. Ask first sign printed small on my water bottle. They said her name softly, didn't kiss her face, and left before their hugs got ideas. We added a hotel mini frame to the kit. Do not disturb stays up. Housekeeping on request. If not gives verify by phone gives front room only. If alarm ever sings more than once gives shoes on give stairs. On the way home the nap aligned with the gas gauge. Small mercies prefer people who kept the rules yesterday. Back at the kitchen table. We wrote the page that pays after action trip 1 right. First nap departure. Written hotel asks room sweep, early check at restaurant. Tighten at spare door wedge. Pack a tiny roll of gaffer tape. Make a laminated crib setup card. Keep 10-minute rule at tables. Porch visits only. No faces online even when scenery begs. Before bed I opened the notebook under the sugar bowl, the chapel of earned sentences, and gave the miles their lines. Travel is Tuesday with different doorknobs. Upgrades aren't always up. A zipped remote is cheaper than regret. The best souvenir is a schedule that made it home. I set the deadbolt click. Amen and cracked the window so the row could finish its story outside. Asterisk a year is a long nap made of short ones. We stacked ours into a book. On her birthday morning we put the binder on the table, and the sugar bowl notebook beside it. Kettle on, door quiet. No balloons that shout. One candle that knows its job. We didn't plan a spectacle. We finished a manual, table of contents, what we actually use. Door and guests ask first. Door frame trio whisper. Phone and scams, code word, 5-minute kettle rule, no payments by link. Money and paper, branch only changes, notarize verbs, copy or no deal. Medical clinic main line, dosing by weight, logs, boring wins. Milk and meals, labels, order, return, spill equals try again. Daycare, code word, no photos, drills or choreography. Storms and inspections, pictures, flashlights greater than candles, present for entry. Babysitter and overnight, packets, logs, chirp equals battery. Wake us if unsure. Travel, hotel asks in writing, room sweep, restaurant 10-minute rule. Playdates, gun question first, pets leashed, timer ends joy kindly. Media and posting, names on paper, faces for fridges, never for fees. Holidays and gatherings, clock sleep prayers, porch blessings, leave on time. Gratitude, thank you notes or naps email. We added to short lists. The kindness of edits. What we loosened visits stretched from 20 to 30 minutes for the on time. And the helpful. To photos a month printed for family albums, no faces online, ever. Platy windows grew by 15 if the host owned a clock. What we kept. Tight ask first at every door. No surprises with people. No posting the child. Paper before panic. Kettle before points. We wrote a last page for her. In the same blue ink we've trusted all year. Little one, you won't remember the policies. But you will live inside the peace they bought. When you're older, you'll push. We'll bend where safety lets us. Our job is not to be popular with chaos. Our job is to give you a Tuesday you can stand on. At for a clock. Cheryl and Rhonda arrived like to ends of a good rope on time. Hands washed, timers visible. They sang happy birthday at a volume that respected walls. The candle worked on the first try. The baby clapped to the smoke. No live stream, no speech. Cake, dishes, goodbye. Ms. Chen sent a paper card with 10 kid handprints and 0 faces. Walter and Ms. Rivera dropped a cane with no key for later, the note said. Later can have it, when the door closed. We did the bravest thing a family can do with a finished manual. We shelved it. Not away, within reach. It had become a habit, not a heist. I opened the sugar bowl notebook one last time this year, and let the pages count themselves. They were fat, loyal, fluent in yes and no. The last entry didn't need many words. The book closes itself now. The door knows please without reading. The phone knows daylight without asking. The kettle's still out trying sirens. Click. Amen. I set the deadbolt click. Amen and cracked the window so the year could step out and the next one could find its shoes. We slept like people whose rules turned into rooms. Whose rooms turned into rest. And whose daughter will learn her first 3 spells almost by accident. Ask first. Leave on time. Make tea.